Ba 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 ba. Yo, 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 yo. What's good? How are you guys doing? You dropped your root beer? No, root beer. Root beer. What's up? No. Root beer. How's the ennui? What's the ennui? You saw me in the comments in the Destiny Ben debate. Yeah, I didn't expect that comment to get as many upvotes as it did, but that was funny. It was like pretty low effort too. We're all chatting instead of yapping. We're changing it up. Is it raining where I'm at? I don't think so. It's been pretty clear all day. Cloudy, as it always is. It's always cloudy. Amber, welcome to the Butter Sock Cult. Thoughts on Megan Thee Stallion and Nicki Minaj? Could do without him, but you know, we always need bread and circus. I have something to listen to at this restaurant bar I'm at alone. Are you working there, Ollie, or what are you doing? Or are you just out and about? Did I lift today? I did not lift today. I've been trying my hardest to switch my sleep schedule up to get back to waking up mornings. And I'll be honest with you guys, I can't fucking do it. Every time, like, I think that, like, if I were to if I had a night shift sleep schedule, sleep till the afternoon or whatever, and then take a bunch of ZQL at, like, close to midnight, sleep for as many hours as I can into the early morning hours, and then try to stay up all day and sleep that night at like midnight, right? And I thought that's how you do it, and then I should have had a certain X amount of hours that I've been awake that I should be pretty tired and ready to sleep. But then I only ever sleep for like 2 hours, lay in bed just like miserable the whole time, knowing that I'm like not able to make it happen. Then I get up in the morning again and I'm just like miserable throughout the day, and then I ended up like today I ended up falling asleep fucking midday, you know what I mean? And then took a nap, and that nap just kept going. So I don't fucking know. I just couldn't go to the gym because I was like so dead. Andrea Strong, welcome back for 3 months. This loves you, Joel. What's the artist title of this music? This is called Trap Zone 8 Trapaholics. But well, that song specifically was called STXCHE, Stash, Back at It. But it's just like a mix on the Smooth Sounds YouTube channel. Wasn't there a Let's Read app? There was like an app that I worked with one time with chilling. Maybe you're thinking of chilling. You're sore from going to the gym? That's good. It means it's working. As long as you're not in pain. Your boyfriend has night shifts. Yeah, I mean, if he ever does try to switch, I feel like actually working a job, you know, like day shift will get you kind of switched over the course of a month, kind of naturally that way. Whereas I'm just trying to fucking like, I don't know. Just, I don't have a lot of structure, so it's just kind of, I get kind of fucked. But it was annoying today because I took my car in to get like serviced, and like, you know, I needed oil change, tires rotated, and the one tire I have like was leaking air, you know, a lot. So I'm like, hey, can you fix this? And they're like, sure. And then they wait till the entire, like, before they close at 5:30 to like call me. And then I go in there to get my car. They did the oil change, they did the tire rotation, and then they tell me that I can't, or I was like, did you, you know, they told me what was wrong with the tire, but I was like, okay, did you fix it? I'll pay for it. They're like, no, we needed you to give us the okay to do that. And I'm like, what the fuck? Whenever I came in and I told you about that, like, isn't that the okay? Whenever I asked you to specifically fix it. And so like it would just require me to do a whole nother day without my car. It was just like, and I looked at him and they generally seemed like he had like a head injury. I don't even know. He just like seemed like fucking clueless. I don't know. It was so frustrating because I didn't want to be mean, but in my mind I'm just like, I'm never coming here again. This guy's a fucking idiot. Andrew Batts with the 5 says, I got a new night med from new nurse that not only does it make me insanely drowsy, it also seems to be causing wicked inflammation in and around my anus. Damn. Checks and balances in life, you know? There are pros and cons to everything. And David, thank you for the $1 Reno. Good to see you. Tire stuff should be, well, it's like, yeah, it's like I brought the car in at 8 a.m., right? And it takes them till 5 p.m. to tell me that it's like ready, and then they didn't even do the thing that I wanted them to do. It's like if like change oil, I could have gone through like a drive-through oil change place or some shit like that, you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck took them so long? And then I don't know, it's just so embarrassing. I just feel like people are, I don't know, I feel like somebody turned on CERN. People's brains are like melting inside of their head or something lately, because you just look at people wherever you go and they give you that fucking like, that just completely vacant NPC stare. You're like, what is going on inside that fucking noggin of yours? Because then like directly after that, after I got home, I'm like trying to take a shit, right? And then you hear a doorbell, and you're like, oh my God, why the fuck is the doorbell ringing? Like mid-shit, you know? So you hurry up with that business, which is frustrating enough. And I go to the door, and it's somebody like asking me about my internet. And then just like during the whole conversation, it was so fucking weird. It was like this young guy, and he's saying stuff, but then I'm like trying to make like pleasant conversation with him. Like, yeah, you know, I do need, you know, good internet for the blah, blah, blah. If you guys ever get blah, blah, blah. And it's so weird. He like was just like the guy at the, you know, car place, just like staring. And like as if just staring directly into my eyes, but just like taking like 10 seconds after what I said to like process what I said and be like, yeah, okay. Yeah, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Is everybody on fentanyl? Jesus Christ, it's getting worse. Yeah, it would have changed. Well, it's the thing is like I took it in there because I just wanted it to be simple. Change oil, rotate tires, fix whatever the fuck corrosion issue, or like, I don't know, maybe with the valve stem or some shit, you know? He might have been on something. I don't even know. But I genuinely fucking hate when people come to my door. It's so annoying. Because you have to just sit there and like, are they going to kill you? I don't know. You have to be ready. That's the thought that goes through my mind when someone knocks on. Fentanyl. Yummy. Could be casing the joint. Yeah, maybe. It was strange, though. No yapping, yammering tonight. Just chatting and talking. Yeah, we're taking it back a notch. Keep a shot. Yeah. I should keep a shotgun right near the window part so they can see it. I know, that was my kind of thought. I was like, you really shouldn't open the door to random people. Even though I could see like he had all like the credentials and shit on, and he's clearly a salesperson. I don't know, man. Something wrong. What's the best way to get a YouTube creator to be monetized again? Yeah, just communicate with Team YouTube on Twitter. Sadly, it's like there's so many times where I'd love to just delete my Twitter because I have no fucking use for it. But if anything ever goes wrong with the channel, I mean, I do have a contact at YouTube I can email, but sometimes it's like even faster just to like at Team YouTube, and they're like, okay, let us know. Because I did see the Darkness Prevails channel got like mistakenly demonetized with the reused content bullshit. Hey, Naomi Smith, welcome to the Buttersock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. That's how me and my friends with case houses back in the day, we made sure they weren't home when we robbed them. Yikes, yeah, I mean, good luck. Your dog goes nuts. I'm already more pissed when I have to answer though. Yeah, right. It is so annoying, especially when people just try to sell you shit. It's like those fucking people are the people that try to sell you new windows. And it's always the same fucking opening line like, yeah, I can't help but notice that your windows are like right around the edges there. Do you see those imperfections? Oh man, that's like, at any moment those could just explode and cut your head off. It wouldn't even require like a Category 5 tornado or anything like that. Like just somebody like sneezing out there could just shatter them at any moment. So goddamn hot. Couldn't imagine living in a place where everybody toting guns. I mean, like I understand America kind of comes off as like that, but it's not really how you're probably thinking in your head, in the same way that people probably have misconstrued ideas of, you know, wherever you're from. I don't know. You get the idea. It's not like I have to like it's a fucking battle royale out there trying to go to the gas station. Katie, welcome to the Buttersock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. Thank you, Katie. Thanks, guys. Yeah, so many new members. It's nice. All independent of each other, too. What happened to Darkness Prevails? There's like this glitch that like a lot of narration channels would get, where their channel would get demonetized, where they can't run ads anymore. And it was for like and the reason would be like something that would say reused content. And it's strange that I guess he never got hit with it, but like so many channels got hit with that glitch like years ago, mine included. And then you would have to communicate with someone from Team YouTube or whatever, either over Twitter or like the help service. And it's just a, you know, it's just a mini panic attack, because, you know, that is your livelihood that, you know, feeds you and your family or whatever. find myself listening a lot more than other similar channels I used to listen to. You've developed a taste for the voice. Missed you a lot. I found out I'm anemic. I don't know if I mentioned that. I haven't been feeling too good. Oh, dang. I'm sorry, Audrey. Have you been able to, I don't know if you're, I know some people go vegan or whatever, but sometimes consuming red meat can be a help with that. Irish, you're anemic too. I guess there's a myriad of reasons of why that could be. I don't want to like put it all down to like diet, but maybe you could give some advice to her on how to deal with that. Do you know Unit 522? His story's all right. Yeah, Unit's great. Done decent amount of collabs with him, I think, in the past. It's been a while though since the last one. Here in America, we drink brute beer and have guns. Yeah, you know, I don't know. Just the idea of like somebody maybe having a gun keeps someone from doing a crime, or, you know, the government. It's more the, what's the concept? What do they say? It's like having a monopoly on violence. You know, because if the government has a monopoly on violence, then they can just do whatever they want, and it can extend to wherever it wants. But if they know the citizenry, you know, what's the old, where Japan didn't want to invade America, or who was it, like saying that there was a gun behind every blade of grass? It's like a well-armed citizenry is like prepared to defend itself, and that's how it should be. Skid Mark Steve, welcome back for 10 months. As we're having movie night tonight, so I won't be able to hang for the stream. Have a good day or night all, and have fun. Please give Pradeep a skiddy boop. I shall. Skid Mark, have a good movie night. You have to let us know which movie you check out. Thank you. And another 20 seconds here, guys. We'll kick this off. We'll switch up the spooky mood. I'm anemic every so often. If I stop eating high iron food, I will need to take supplements for it. Okay. It's more the fact that unstable access to weapons like that. Yeah, you know, I guess it all is contextual, but a few bad apples spoil the bunch, as they say. Who else is mutating right now? Changing into a... Oh! Alright. We've arrived. Born with a hole in your heart. Okay, interesting. I know some people go their whole lives without even knowing about like congenital heart defects, and then they end up sometimes dying from it, or at least having an issue that causes them to have an event that they almost die from. I started lifting 3-pound weights, so that's good. Andrew Batts with the fact says just got a prostate exam. Can't figure out how he did it, seeing as he had a hand on each of my shoulders. You know, that nursing staff. Actually, maybe I should put the notification thing up here. I feel like that might look better. Yeah, there we go. That looks better up there, I think. All right. Well, we got Valentine's Day stories. I figured what better time to pump those out than February 1st. But I don't know, like not getting like any sleep, even if I was like awake at a normal hour, it was just driving me insane. Like it was all I could think about. You know what I mean? It's like being hungry, and you just, you know, but hungry for like blood. And that's just like, I don't know, it just affects your like mental health and shit. And it's weird, I genuinely ponder to myself, like, to what extent people's like mental health issues could be just solved if they got consistent, comfortable sleep every night. And even just from those few days of me not doing so, I just wanted to go fucking bonkers. All right. Paradiddle. Well, Pradiddle Deep is behind me now. On Valentine's Day of 1992, I was a 23-year-old wannabe musician living just outside of Redding, California. I had a part-time job at an auto shop 3 days a week, one that I had to get up at 7 a.m. for, and that year, Valentine's just so happened to fall on a Friday, which meant that I had to work from 8 until 3. But I'd also promised my then-girlfriend that I'd treat her to some special Valentine's Day dinner, complete with gifts and trip to the movies, meaning that I had around 1.5 hours to get home, freshen up, pick up all my girlfriend's gifts, and then pick her up at work on time. I wasn't looking forward to doing all that rushing around. I was kicking myself for not being more prepared, and I remember driving to work hoping that I might be able to clock out early or something. But then, when I show up at work, all the shutters are down and my boss's truck is nowhere to be seen. I figured that he was probably running a little late, which was way out of character for him, but I didn't immediately assume anything was wrong or anything like that. I just stayed put in my car, leaned back in the seat, and tried to catch a little extra shut-eye until I heard his truck roll into the lot. Next thing I know, I'm catching myself falling asleep, and when I open my eyes, it's almost 8:30 a.m. I've been sitting in that parking lot for almost 35 minutes, and my boss, who practically lived at the auto shop, just hadn't shown up for some reason. I had his home phone number written down somewhere, but this was in a journal back at my apartment, so instead of just sitting there like an idiot, I drove back to my apartment and gave him a call on my home phone. There was no answer at his place, so I left a message on his machine, then basically kind of just sat there, not knowing what to do. On the one hand, if my boss was sick or was off doing something and hadn't planned to open the shop that day, then it was no big deal at all. In fact, it was a blessing, because then I would have more time to go by my... What's up, Fairy? Walmart sells silent space heaters for $50. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out. It's not too chilly right now since I'm decked out in layers. What days are you doing your lives? I keep missing them. We got Sunday and Wednesday. And I still have to get the bonus. I was honestly thinking about streaming yesterday, but then I didn't. I don't know. I'm lazy, man. Procrastinator. Typical YouTuber. And I started playing this game called Insurrection, January 6th. No, I'm just kidding. That'd be funny if they made a video game. What the fuck's it called? Dude, my brain is broken. Enlisted. It's like a World War II game, but it's like one of the best World War II games I think I've ever played. The only thing bad about it is that it has so much, like, there's so many upgrade menus. Like, there's an upgrade system. You have to like research new weapons and get the experience to get the new weapons, which gets you new squads, and then you have to unlock the new squads, and then you have to buy soldiers for that squad, and then you have to like upgrade the individual soldiers and the squad and their individual weapons and all this shit. And it's just like, holy fuck. But the core, so it takes a while to kind of like get everything, because it's clearly like one of those sort of microtransaction style games. But you can grind it out and get everything, because I really have no desire to like, Have you seen Starfield? Yeah, you know, it kind of came out in a glitchy state, and honestly, it like, you know how like Fallout was, so you know, it was shooting and stuff, but it had sort of like a fun, goofy sort of presentation and atmosphere to it. But I feel like Starfield like tries to be serious, but just doesn't really. It just doesn't feel. It just doesn't feel right, you know. Whereas like Skyrim and, you know, those types of games like feel appropriate for their serious tone, even though there is silly things here and there. But I don't know. I don't know. Hell Let Loose is a good real. Yeah, I kind of want to try Hell Let Loose, but the nice thing about Enlisted is that like when you get killed, you're like controlling a squad who are kind of really stupid. Like you just basically tell them to wait there, because as soon as your character gets killed, because you can get taken out in like one shot. That's what's kind of sick, is like you can mow down, you know, get like 20 player kill streaks like easily. And sometimes, I mean, you see people getting like 100 kills a game, which is nuts. But as soon as you're dead, you know, from one shot or one little thing, it'll teleport you right to your next member within that squad. And to me, that's kind of sick, because it's just like keeps you playing, keeps you moving. Excited about GTA 6. I am excited for GTA 6. I do have high hopes for it. I hope it's not, you know, I hope the humor is not dumbed down because, you know, of modernity and everybody like being offended by every stupid fucking thing. But yeah, I hope it's good, and I hope they don't cut any corners for that kind of shit. Is Enlisted pay to play? I mean, it can be, but I would say that starting out, you can still be competitive, because there are different tiers in which you are sort of in, like battle BR1, BR2. So like BR1 will only face BR2 people, or BR1s, and then so forth, like BR2s to 3s and blah blah blah. But you know, there are times where like there's a certain squad that calls in airstrikes, and then there's the ability to unlock airplanes that can take out tanks, and other people have like better tanks than you. So like sometimes you're very outmatched, or just don't necessarily have a solution to advance forward or take out whatever. But the nice thing is that like just a sniper rifle or a bolt action rifle, or, you know, one of your typical other things can still get the job done if you're smart and have basic first-person shooter, you know, abilities and that kind of thing. I see it's free on Steam. Yeah, so Enlisted Reinforced is going to be the Steam version of Enlisted, but it's the same thing. Like everybody can play each other. It's just they're calling it Reinforcement because it's Reinforced because it's like they're bringing in reinforcements to like pad the player base and whatnot. Had some stupid life stuff happening and not listening to Let's Read. Always got to stay consistent with Let's Read, even when things are hell, you know? Even when you're in the trenches of World War III. Just kidding, but I'm glad you're here, Reed. Good to see you. Zachary Bernard, what's going on, dude? In fact, it was a blessing, because I had time to go buy my girlfriend her gifts and whatnot. But then, no one had called me, and I felt like I'd have known if we were going to be closed that day, because I wouldn't have been all stressed about. But then, no one called me, and I felt like I'd have known if we were going to be closed that day, because I wouldn't have been all stressed out about the time. So instead of just doing nothing, I decided to give one of my coworkers a call, just to make sure that we weren't opening like an hour later or the morning. God damn it. I don't understand why I can't follow this. What's Natty Light beer? Yeah, Natty Light's just like, I remember that in college, like the shittiest of shitty beers you could, like I think it was actually made with like reprocessed urine. So it had the most vitamins, which was great. Bear Grylls loves Natty Light. Oh, I love piss. Destroy Your Lin with the 5 says, people always ask for body count, but I really want to know, is Joel's story count? I bet it's at least 1,000. Yeah, what is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tonight? Sleben. It's old hot dog water. That sounds honestly better than Natty Light. I really do wish there was like beers that didn't taste like fucking somebody took a piece of dirt and just like let it dissolve in an old Tupperware container filled with water. Dirty water. Big up from the UK. What's up, Ben? Good eye, mate. Just doesn't get it completely wrong. Beers in the States suck, man. I mean, you would think that we'd be able to import stuff, but I remember, what was it? What's the German one? Like, Hyphenwasser, or I don't even know. I forget what the fuck it was called, but that one was pretty good. But I do kind of like lighter ones, I suppose. I don't even know, stouts and like heavy ones kind of just make all of it makes me fucking sick. But you think by now, with all of our like abilities to scientifically just make concoctions and shit, they would, for as good as they can make soda taste, you think they would find shit that just makes beer taste good, because wouldn't they want us to get addicted to their product and whatnot? Did you ever had Guinness? I have had a lot of Guinness in the past, and I'm just, not a big Guinness fan. I don't really like the heavy beers. I know some people say like, I have a Guinness with your steak or your dinner, and it's like, dude, beer with dinner is fucking yucky. Makes me want to throw up. I don't know. I feel like, to me, and it's probably just an acquired taste, but it's like a diet soda with my salty dinner, is complimentary. Whereas a beer to me is like a whole separate taste, profile in itself. And it just kind of detracts from whatever nice experience I'm trying to have at Din Din. Hitsubasa with the 13 months says, hey Joel, my housemates and I all moved into a new house. Very awesome, but the process was terrible. We went through hell with it. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That is always a pain in the ass trying to get moved up to the next spot. But I'm glad you were able to get to a new spot. That's awesome. And Miss Demeanor and Samantha Kergerson, welcome guys to the Butter Sock Cult. Good to see you guys. Interesting, there's a lot of new people just joining up. Thank you. We need to go to a craft beer festival. It would be sick if there was like an Oktoberfest vibe or just, kind of had that kind of social experience. And because, in Pennsylvania, it's well known for its like many, during the summer, I'm sure you guys have like fairs where there's like a fair going on and blah, blah, blah. But it's like the only sort of cultural significant aspect of those fairs is like showing off your hog, showing off a fucking like barn animal, or eating deep fried shit, which, both together are all right. But wouldn't it be way cooler if one of those festivals were sort of an Oktoberfest vibe and people could just get shithoused? PA has Oktoberfest at the Ren Fair. Where's the Ren Fair at? I feel like I remember you saying this before, but I didn't remember. Please notice me. I listen to you at work. I work midnight. Say my name, bro. What's up, Loud V6 owner? Revving that engine. Vroom, vroom. The city of Kensington. I have a lot of crazy stories I could submit being there. Interesting. Yeah, submit them up. I don't know Kensington. Is that near Philadelphia at all? It sounds like familiar. So instead of doing just nothing, I decided to give one of my coworkers a call, just to make sure that we weren't opening like an hour later that morning or whatever. But then, he says the same thing. He hadn't gotten any calls, and as far as he knew, we were opening up at the regular time that morning. I then tell him about showing up to a shut shop and our boss not showing up even though I waited a while. I remember how there was a bit of a pause on the line as my coworker thought it over for a few seconds, and then he asked me, "Are you free to do something right now?" I obviously didn't have anything else planned, but then I also wanted to know what he was about to ask me, so I told him something like, maybe. It depends on what that something is. It turns out all he wanted to do was head over to our boss's house to see if he was okay. And since I figured that it'd take minimal time at best, and was definitely the mature call, I agreed to head over there with him. About 10 to 15 minutes later, he pulls up outside my parents' place, honks his horn, and I run out and jump in his passenger seat. My coworker seems kind of tense, but other than that, we're still just two dudes on their way over to check on our boss. 'Cause like I said, not just showing up for work like that was way out of character for our boss. And the drive over to his place takes maybe 20 minutes, long enough for my coworker to get pretty worried, I think. I was still kind of looking on the bright side at the time, thinking maybe we might get the day off or something, and I suggested that my coworker... You know, it's funny, this story reminds me of whenever I worked at a bar, and this one guy at the bar, like, he wanted to go over to the boss's house or something because he was like tight with him and he wasn't like answering his phone, so we like went over there and he wasn't at his house or like didn't answer his door, so we were just like walking around his property for some reason, and I don't even know why, but like that coworker was just like talking so much shit on him, and it was just kind of awkward, but he just like wasn't there. But I just remember like the next time I worked, that boss at that bar was so angry at me and like putting his like finger in my chest, saying that I was like talking shit whenever I was not. It was the other guy. Fox Truba with the 5 says, just popping to say hi to the Buttersock cult and wish everyone a good day, night, with listening and settling into bed for the night. Thank you, Fox. Appreciate you. Thank you for the dono. Worked at a bartender. No, I was just a door guy, because it was weird there. I remember to like work your way up to like bar back or bartender and make like pretty decent tips. You had to kind of be a no-lifer at that bar, but I was going to school at the time, and so I was like my schedule was mainly just weekends and sporadic weekdays. So I don't know, in their mind, you didn't earn your way to the money. But it was stupid because like they were supposed to like evenly hand out a certain amount of tips to the bar staff, the door staff. And I remember they would go into the back to count the tips and stuff, and then they would close the door. And it always felt like really shady, like they didn't want us to like see how much tips there was, and just always, I mean, granted, it's like, we didn't necessarily earn those tips because we weren't the ones serving. But in my mind, I'm like, well, yeah, can you be any more blatant? Ricardo Milos. Ricardo Milos is still like one of my like idols in a way. He's just like he's the ideal body type. Andrew Batts with the 5 says, a few bucks to Joel Wednesday and Sunday nights gets me more attention than I get all week. He's probably the reason I haven't blown air into my IV line. Yeah. You just like pinch it off. Don't do that, but yeah, I'm sorry, man. Stuck in the fucking hospitals. A certain level of stinky. I was still kind of looking on the bright side at the time, thinking maybe we might get the day off or something, and I suggested to my coworker that on the way over. He shot the idea right out of the sky, though, saying that the auto shop was our boss's life, how he only ever took Sundays off, and how if he was sick, he would have 100% called us to let us know and probably run things ourselves. And by the end of his little speech, I felt like a total jerk for even thinking about a day off, and was glad that I'd taken him up on the whole checking in on our boss thing. So, a few minutes later, we're turning off onto the road that our boss lives on, and although the houses aren't exactly huge, they're all nicely spaced out with privacy fences, big green hedges, and all that kind of stuff. We get to the house that belongs to our boss, and the moment we pull into the driveway, both me and my coworker get this really bad feeling, because our boss's door is just wide open and his truck is nowhere to be seen. I remember we both sat there on our seats, not saying a word, just looking at that wide open door. It wasn't some big red flag or anything, but that level of worry definitely got ramped up just a little more. Just not nearly as much as when my coworker reaches over, opens up his glove box, and pulls out a gun. I'd grown up around guns, so seeing one didn't freak me out or anything. He pulls out a gun. Alright, we're gonna kill the boss. Submit us to stories about Kensington from my experience and my cousins too. Yeah, send it in. r/let'sreadofficial or let'sreadsubmissions@gmail.com. I worked for a guy once doing his lawn, and his old wife would always come out in their bathrobe and stare at me for a bit and would ask me the strangest questions. That's awesome. Sully, thank you for the 10. Appreciate you. If you got a message, be sure to at me in the chat. Thank you. Left my bartending job 45 years ago today. Interesting. Was it a good job? I'd grown up around guns, so seeing one didn't freak me out or anything. It was the implication in that moment that had me afraid. I think I knew why he pulled it out too, but at the same time, I asked him what the heck was going on. My coworker told me to wait in the car, which immediately had me thinking, why the hell did you ask me to come along then? But then it hit me. He needed me there, just in case anything happened to him. He left his keys in the ignition, told me to shift over to the driver's seat, and that if he didn't come out in 5 minutes, to drive off and get the cops. I think up until that point, I'd never known what it meant to be truly terrified. I mean, I'd been afraid of all kinds of things. Getting rejected by girls, getting picked up by the cops with some weed on me, or getting jumped on the way home from school. But I only think the word terror or terrified applies when there's a legitimate danger to human life. When my coworker got out of his car and walked towards our boss's house, there was a chance that he might never walk out again, and that was truly terrifying to me. It did occur to me that he could have been slightly overreacting, but by that point, he was already out of the car. And maybe that was wishful thinking on my part, my brain's way of doing a little psychological damage control. But either way, I watched him. Satellite, what's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for joining the stream. Yeah, anybody who's new, basically we just are recording stories and chatting. There will be a lot of starting and stopping, a lot of yapping. Nice to meet you too. But either way, I watched him walk into the house, gun drawn, not knowing what the hell was about to happen. A few minutes later, my coworker comes walking out of the house, and he only makes it a few steps off the porch before he bends double? Or doubles over? How many stories tonight? We got 7. A few minutes later, my coworker comes walking out of the house, and he only makes it a few steps off the porch before he doubles over and starts puking. And that's when I knew at that moment that our boss was dead. Or at least that there had been some kind of dead body in there or something. Nobody just walks out of a house and throws up unless they've seen something truly messed up. And honestly, right then in that moment, I was really glad that he told me to sit in that car and not follow him into the house. The second he started to puke, I got out of the car and started asking what the hell was inside. And just like before, I think I already knew what he was going to say on some level. I just needed to hear it from him. He never said exactly what it was. He just told me our boss was dead, and that we needed to hang around and wait for the cops because he just called them on his home phone. I remember standing there behind his driver's side door, probably with some dumb, stupefied look on my face. I'd never been in a situation like that before, never even anything approaching something like that. It sort of didn't feel real either, like it was real for my coworker because he saw it, but for me, I don't know. It's like I wanted to see what was in that house just to confirm it wasn't some elaborate prank or something. But then, unless my coworker had just delivered an Oscar-winning acting performance, unless the entire morning had been some elaborate setup, what was happening was real, and I sure as hell didn't want to see what had made my coworker empty his guts out. I didn't know what else to say, so I asked how our boss died. And my coworker was still wiping his mouth on his t-shirt and spitting out the last of his puke when he told me in a very nasally voice, "Murder." I repeated back to him, "Murder?" because I just could not believe what I was hearing at that moment. I thought maybe it had been some kind of accident, and unlike my coworker, I didn't immediately conclude that there was some kind of human threat involved. Hell, one of the first things that went through my head when my coworker said our boss was dead was that he had taken his own life. He could have blown his own head off with a shotgun, which sure as hell would have made me puke if it had been me. Okay. I was a bartender in Nashville, Tennessee for a long time. We did have seemingly strange rules, but there was a good reason. Safety. Leftover spaghetti. I actually thought it was going to be suicide too, like he was sad because it was Valentine's Day or some shit. Which, isn't that just like sad? Like, isn't it sad how sad we get on Valentine's Day? Because I feel like all it really comes down to is like, I'm sad that I don't get to nut, you know? What? I don't get to have sex? On a specific day that we designated as sex day? What the fuck? What the fuck? What the hell is going on here? He could have blown his own head off with a shotgun, which sure as hell would have made me puke if it had been me walking in on the aftermath. But when my coworker said murder and nodded when I turned the word back on him in a question, that was the question of, how did he know it was murder? I only asked one more question of my coworker that morning before the cops showed up. I mean, that was the one that I just asked. How could he be so sure that it was murder? The answer that came back is one that I'll remember for the rest of my life. He's taped to a chair. Not long after that, the cops did show up, by which point my coworker had put his gun back in his glove compartment. And we both talked to the cops for a minute or two, then one of them went inside the house to look around. He came back out a minute or two later, not puking but definitely shaken. We talked to the cops a little more, gave them our contact info, then after that, we were told that we were free to leave. I remember wondering what was going to happen over the next few days, and when I asked my coworker what we should do now, he told me, file for unemployment. I asked him if we should get lawyers or something, if the cops might think that we did it or something, and he told me that he didn't think that it'd be necessary. He was right about both. The cops only got in touch with us once more, and the auto shop took years to find a buyer so it could reopen. But to me, that was just small stuff. I could find another job, and I did, pretty easily actually, but we both still wanted to know what had happened to our boss, or more accurately, why it had happened, which as it turned out was bizarrely easy for the cops. So remember, I said our boss's truck was missing when we showed up at his place. Well, it had been stolen by these two drug addicts who had the bright idea of doing a little home invasion on Valentine's Day Eve. They'd heard very inaccurately that our boss was loaded, and that he was... Wait, did they say at some point that the truck was missing? I don't remember them saying that, but I guess it doesn't really matter. Shaken, not stirred. What's everyone's plans for V-Day? I'm going to eat cinnamon hearts until my heart turns into cinnamon. What are cinnamon hearts? Hey Sosa, good to see you, no worries. Why no poop stories? It's a great question. Why are there no poop stories? How come nobody ever sends those in? The best V-Day candy. I wonder if I would... well, I guess I could just... I guess I have the entire internet right here. Hello, internet. What are they called? Cinnamon hearts? I don't think I've ever seen these in the whole history of Valentine's Day snackarinos. It's kind of crazy, like how when it came to Valentine's Day and the snacks oriented around it, it's like after school, or like after like elementary school and middle school, where everybody kind of like, do you remember? I don't know. Did you guys do that when you were younger? Like, it would be Valentine's Day, and then everybody would go around and put candy in each other's desks. And obviously, you had a crush on somebody who would just dump all your candy in their shit. But I remember that. That was kind of a fun... It was like every year for most of elementary school was we would make cards for everyone and then fucking put candy and shit in their little desk. But then beyond that, I never really ever had any need for Valentine's, specific candy. Ever heard of the country Zambia in Africa? Listen to you from there. Tomorrow I leave for Cyprus Island and download your podcast. Nice. Well, safe travels, my friend. I'm good to hear you from across the world. Isn't it Sunday? What's Sunday? Today? Valentine's Day is on a Monday. No. It's on a Wednesday, the 14th. My bad. Yeah, the cards and getting boxes from them from like Walmart. Yeah, it was the same thing. And you would get cool fucking cards like Spider-Man and the Hulk. And like each one of them you would leave a little dick pic. Sorry, just kidding. That'd be so fucking funny. It's like go to jail on your first ever Valentine's Day. Just did a Joel choked on spit, still coughing. Nice. Dude, that spit just gets in the way. What the fuck? Walmart has cinnamon and cherry flavored jelly hearts. They're pretty delish. Isn't it crazy? We can just take sugar, just mold it into any shape and idea we want. They'd heard, very inaccurately, that our boss was loaded, and that he was Oh, he has. Polar Bear, what's up? They'd heard, very inaccurately, that our boss was loaded, and that he had a bunch of gold bars or something stashed away in his house. He didn't, and he tells them that, but they didn't believe him. So they taped him to his computer chair, took off his shoes and socks, and began torturing him to get him to fess up. Obviously, he didn't have anything stashed away, and apparently he even offered to take them to an ATM so they would at least stop burning his feet with lighters and lit cigarettes. But no. They want the non-existent gold bars or bonds or whatever the hell they were looking for, so they kept on working their way up his legs until they got to his junk. I heard someplace that they were still torturing the guy when his heart just gave up and gave out on them. But still, they didn't want to leave empty-handed. So these two animals then took the keys to his truck and drove around trying to sell the thing in Reading. They didn't even drive to the next town over to throw the cops off their scent. And so a few hours after we spoke to the cops, some patrol unit was pulling over my boss's truck and arresting the two pieces of human trash who were in it. The female half of the couple later told the cops that the only reason they went looking for this big score like that was so she and her man could buy each other Valentine's Day gifts. To me, that's the only truly bizarre aspect of this whole thing. Once the people who killed him were arrested, they were told the cops, fuck. we sending Valentines cards via chat? Yeah. You guys should come up with some in the chat. Some nice little limericks. Love limericks. Some limmies, they call them in Ireland. Oh, read me a limmy, would ya? Any book in the world? Any book? Your dad just passed. Do you see him? Nope, not here. But I'm sorry to hear about your dad. Roses are red, violets are blue. Joel reads stories that I listen to. Holy crap. Valentine's Day horror story. Not getting a giant-ass teddy bear from Joel himself. You're gonna have to win it from the carnival. It is kind of crazy. I feel like the Necronomicon. I feel like the like in the movies where like the guy goes on a date with a girl to the carnival and then like it's always a montage and like wins them a giant teddy bear. But they never tell you in like real life to like actually win that giant teddy bear, it's gonna cost you like $1,000 in darts or whatever the fuck. Fishbowl ball. Do I use Zen? I have used Zen before. I do enjoy it. Like my friends will go, if we go on like a walk and talk, he'll give me some snooze or whatever the fuck it is. Are you doing a lottery to see who'll be your Valentine's this year? Yeah, I am. You will be selected at random. My people will be around to collect you at your home. You in the middle of the night. V-Day. V-Day was a war, or a battle in World War II. Your brother uses Zin and spits in a cup and leaves it out. Yeah, see, that always grossed me out. Like, I remember in high school and college, a lot of my friends, or just people you come around, they would chew fucking tobacco and shit. Which is always the grossest. I tried it and it's just like, yuck, dude. It tastes fucking bad. And it's gives you a headache or makes your stomach queasy. But then they leave their disgusting fucking spit cups just laying around. It's like, bro, at least just like immediately go throw that shit around. It's like you don't shit into a washcloth and then just leave that on the ground. That would be funny. A video date auction over Zoom. Auction off a Zoom call date. Hey, General Grievous, what's up, dude? Long time no snee. To me, that's the only truly bizarre aspect of this whole thing. Once the people who killed him were arrested, they told the cops everything, down to the dumbest little details like that. I've heard that's like a thing with these meth heads, that they're prone to spill their guts to cops and stuff when other drug users can actually keep quiet and actually dodge charges. I don't know how true it is, but it seemed to have applied in their case. But then I've also heard the cops will dangle detox drugs in front of meth and heroin addicts, telling them that their jailhouse withdrawals won't be so bad if they only give up a little info. The point is, all the details came out in the months that followed, and I remember seeing the news about the pair getting sentenced around the holidays of that same year, and both got life in prison. But if you ask me, they should have dug a hole under the goddamn prison and thrown those two animals in there, with no food or water, until they just shriveled up, and do a little bit of a raisin, till they Sri Lanka. Both got life in prison, But if you ask me, they should have dug a hole under that goddamn prison and thrown those two animals in there with no food or water until they just shriveled up and died. Anything else, in the face of what they did to my friend and my boss, seems like a slap on the wrist. A slap on the cock. I don't know. I've never heard. Well, I guess they didn't sound like they had cell phones in that story, so maybe it was a long ass time ago. Excuse me. Excuse me. Alright, story number 2. And this person's name is from India, and I can't say it. It's Pradeep. Just kidding. My name is Shivani. I guess that's annoying. I guess I could say it. That. Oh, let's see here. Miss Demeanor, holy shit, with the big 70 Canadian buccarinos. Thank you so much, Miss Demeanor. Much love to you. Thank you. Very, very kind. If you do have any further message, please do at me. Thank you so much. 69. Would you kiss someone who chews tobacco? I don't know. Any girl who chews tobacco, it'd be a little bit off-putting, I feel like, you know what I mean? I'm not sure if I would be attracted to that person per se. It's not very, ladylike, I suppose. 69 for V-Day. Thank you, Miss Demeanor. Appreciate you. Vagina Day. I always get the foreign names in the second story. That is funny. We've been keeping track. Let's look. I just want to make sure I say it right. Shivani. Maybe they have. Oh, they do. Oh, yeah. Shivani. In Hindi. Sweet. Oh, that reminds me of Johnny Quest. Not the old one, but like the newer one from like the 2000s, the early 2000s. Dude, that Johnny Quest show was so fucking good. I'm sure if I go back and watch it now, it might not be that good, but I just remember like it seemed like every episode from the newer remake of the show was just always so lay epic. Your grandma chewed? I don't really have an issue with grandmas chewing. Grandmas can do whatever the fuck they want. But, you know, I'm not trying to rizz up your G-ma, is all I'm saying. I mean, maybe. My dog Penny loves Jill. Oh, I love Penny. Dogs are so cool, dude. And cats. Dogs rule. Cats rule too. Gilf Hunter. I was going to make a joke about that guy from the true crime story we read last time. He was an actual Gilf Hunter, sadly. My name is Shivani, and I'm writing to you all the way from Delhi in India. I've been watching your videos and listening to your podcast for a long time now, partly as a way of improving my colloquial English, but I've only recently felt able to contribute. You see, I have my own scary story to share, one that details an event which I saw with my own eyes. This story could just as easily be written by my friend who acts as my story's... What the fuck? What is this one? Deuteragonist? Deuteragonist? They know too much English. Too many words. Deuteragonist. What the fuck is that? The character second in importance to the protagonists in classical Greek drama. Interesting. The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest of the Virtual World. That was my favorite. Yeah, dude, that shit was nuts. You know how like you always love it when you're a kid and then you go back and look at it and it looks almost silly. But I have a feeling if I were to go back and check it out now, it might not actually be silly. You watched an Instagram video yesterday of a 19-year-old man getting a 77-year-old woman pregnant. Weird. It's a Bible story. There's a lot of crazy shit on I don't understand. It's so weird to me. Like Instagram, all the death videos on Instagram that, you know, you eventually stumble across. Like, I get it. They can't monitor everything. But it's just strange how much like shit like slips through the cracks. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if there's some sort of legal loophole on their end where they found that it keeps people more, if they're like, well, it keeps people on our website more, it's almost better to allow a certain amount of stuff just because we can like sort of give some plausible deniability if we ever get taken to court or whatever. You found some episodes on YouTube? Nice. This story could have just as easily been written by my friend who acts as my story's deuteragonist, but it would be very insensitive of me to ask her to dredge up a terrible, painful memory for the entertainment of others. So instead, and might I make it clear with her blessing, I will tell the story of my friend. My best friend since primary school is a girl that I'll call Gita for the sake of her anonymity. Gita and I lived right across the street from one another, but we didn't become friends until our 5th year of primary. Then after that, we were practically inseparable. We remained the best of friends all the way through secondary and higher secondary school, which is the equivalent of middle school and high school in the United States, meaning I was privy to almost every detail of Gita's personal life and vice versa. And that's how I ended up being one of the only people who knew Gita had a secret boyfriend. So depending upon which strata of Indian society you occupy, attitudes to dating range from relatively lax to exceptionally strict. Even the most chilled out of Indian parents tend to be quite involved in their children's romantic lives, in a way that American teenagers simply would not tolerate. It's just a fact of life over here, something we learn to live with, but then living with it often involves keeping our dating lives a complete secret from our parents. You can't approach our mothers of father... Oops. Hey Sarah, what's up? You can't approach our mothers or fathers for dating advice. Some of us can't even approach our siblings. We have no one to turn to but our closest of close friends, who often don't have much experience from which to offer advice, and that often leads to poor judgment and bad decisions, making it come to potential partners. Fuck. Fucking shite, mate. We have no one to turn to but our closest of close friends, who often don't have much experience from which to offer advice, and that often leads to poor judgment and bad decision-making when it comes to potential partners. So in the final year of higher secondary, Gita had been seeing this guy on and off, but had never fully committed to doing the whole girlfriend-boyfriend thing. She knew that giving herself over to a romantic affair would be a distraction from her studies, So they kept things casual, with the exception of spending a lot more time together once the exam period had concluded. But then, when summer came around, and Gita actually started to spend time with this boy, she found that he wasn't nearly as charming and gentlemanly as he had been while they had just been texting and visiting in secret. They had both expected to see each other a lot more, but Gita's boyfriend expected a lot more too, things Gita wasn't quite ready for. He insisted, but she refused, and after having a particularly intense disagreement over it, Gita decided that she was done with him. She told him via text message, and he didn't take it well at all. Gita told me that she'd called her phone carrier to have his number blocked, but then he started calling and texting from his friends' phones. He refused to leave her alone. He just couldn't do anything overtly because of how much trouble it would have caused between their two families. She confided this whole thing to me at the time, and I just remember feeling terribly sorry for her. She'd been so excited about this guy, and I'd be a liar if I'd said that I hadn't been the tiniest bit envious whenever she talked about him. So for him to turn out to be a total disappointment, then act like such a child when she tried to break it off, I just felt awful for her. This went on for a few weeks, with Gita's ex being a total pain in the neck for her. Then one day, he simply gave up. He stopped trying to call her, he stopped texting her, and when he ceased all forms of contact for a full 3 days, Gita and I started to believe that he'd finally moved on. Then one day, one of Gita's ex-friends came looking for her to ask if she'd seen him over the past couple of days. She obviously hadn't, but her ex's friend looked very concerned and asked if she could give him a call to see where he was. Gita actually considers it too before she realized it was probably little more than a trick. Her ex had co-opted his friends in more than one scheme, so why would this be any different? She didn't call him or text him. He wasn't her responsibility, and even if he had run away and was off doing something stupid, it wasn't her problem. I know that sounds harsh, but emotional blackmail is a very under-discussed form of abuse, and it occurs between all kinds of people, not just couples, or former couples in this case. I said the same myself. Even he is hiding away somewhere. Even if. What's my... oh. I said the same myself. Even if he is hiding away somewhere, drinking himself into a stupor and focusing on taking his own life, she can't intervene. Otherwise he'll learn that all he has to do to get her attention is go back to some self-destructive spiral and terrify everyone into compliance. I know that sounds very deep for two 17-year-olds in their first relationship, but it's as true for teenagers as it is for pensioners. Age isn't a factor. Pensioners. But it's as true for teenagers as it is for the elderly. Age isn't a factor. So after that visit from her ex's friends, Gita tried to carry on as normal, and resisted the temptation to call her ex, even if it was just to tell him what a jerk he was being. Then one night, months later, just after 2 o'clock in the morning on the 15th of February, literally the day after Valentine's Day, myself and just about all my neighbors were woken up by shouting coming from outside in the street. I remember hearing it and at first thinking that it was just a drunk or something, but then when I lay my head back down, I heard my friend's name. "Gita!" They were calling out, over and over again. I'd like to say that I immediately knew who it was, but I think it was a mix of sleepiness and wishful thinking that had me hoping and wishing that it wasn't Gita's ex-boyfriend. But it was, and my heart sank when I came to that realization. Gita's ex was about to cause a hell of a lot of trouble for Gita, himself, and both of their families, and all because he'd had too much to drink and decided he'd missed her. I know that might sound not all that terrible, just a little bit of teenage angst relationship drama that everyone would either be laughing or cringing about in a few years. But looking back on it, that actually would have been one of the best case scenarios, and I don't think I could have conceived of how terrible things were about to get. "Gita," he kept screaming out. "Come to your window, please. I need to talk to you." He didn't know Gita's bedroom was at the back of the house, and when the window opened up, it was her mother and father standing there, each looking absolutely livid. They started yelling at Gita's ex, telling him to go away and calling him some drunk. Everyone could see the bottle in his hand, and it was a large green beer bottle, too, so there was no confusing it with anything else. I could see Gita's ex, and I could kind of see the window her mother and father were standing at, but I had a much better view of the ex than Gita's house. So I didn't see Gita, but from the way her ex started to behave, I had to assume that she appeared in the window for a moment because her ex went from trying to get her attention to actually talking to her directly, saying, "No, wait, Gita, listen to me, Gita," and just other such things. It was all just so embarrassing for him, for everyone involved, for everyone watching. But then his speech took a very drastic turn. Gita's ex said something like, "Always know that you did this. This is all your fault." And then he suddenly turned the beer bottle of what I thought was alcohol upside down over his head. I just remember thinking, oh no, please no, hoping and praying it was just a way to get her attention. And it was exactly that, I suppose. A way of getting her attention, but it was the last thing he would ever do. I didn't see it in detail, but I saw him empty the bottle over himself. Then a second later, there was this sort of whoosh of flame that I'd heard from all the way across the street. And then there was screaming. I didn't know what else to do. I didn't want to see, I didn't want to hear. I just jumped back into bed, covered myself over, and stuffed my fingertips into my ears to try and block out all the sounds. Even though I only heard it for a few moments, hearing the sound of someone burning to death was the single worst thing I've ever heard in my entire life. The hour that followed is a little bit of a blur. I remember my mother coming into my room, then my father drawing the curtains and telling us both to go into the back bedroom. I was crying, trying to tell my mother what had happened, but not able to find the words. But I didn't have to, because they knew they'd seen the Human Torch outside, writhing around in the street on fire. Gita's ex later passed from these self-inflicted injuries, and everyone who heard the screams remained haunted by them for a very long time. Gita herself didn't recommence dating until she was in her mid-20s, and I don't blame her for taking so long to get back on her feet, so to speak. That boy had traumatized her, and he was haunting her. Not in the traditional sense of wandering spirits with unfinished business, but in the truest sense, in the sense that she saw his burning body and heard his screams whenever she closed her eyes at night, and it stayed that way for many years. Jesus Christ. Teenage drama, am I right? Story 3 of 7. You want some smokes? No thanks. No thanks. I'm not addicted. I'm not trying to go to jail. I'm not trying to perish in the flames of hell too early. Thought this was going to be the story from India about the young guy who slit his girlfriend's throat in front of her parents and their entire village. Nope, not that one. It's the one where he lit himself on fire. That doesn't sound as nice as I thought it was going to sound. It's a bottle. I was hoping it would have more of a satisfying thud. Or like kind of a, or sort of like a musical, phonetic vibe. No, it doesn't sound good. Has a Reddit story become a movie? I know I've seen probably some short films. Like there was a Reddit story about like a smiling guy, and then there was a whole ass movie about smiling. But I guess that probably could have just originated from someone, the first day someone smiled. Or when someone drew a smiley face on like a rock wall. How do you send stories? You can send it to Reddit r/letsreadofficial or my email, letsreadsubmissions@gmail.com. The 90s. Honestly, there's a part of me looking back where I'm like, was life just like better in the 90s? Did we as a society sort of just like peak in the 90s? Like, sure, there was like the introduction of like gangster rap and that kind of thing, which really I don't really feel like assisted society too much, but it seemed like culturally it seemed like things were pretty just like in full swing, you know what I mean? With not much hindrance and not much fear. Obviously, we got too comfortable because it's like 9/11, hey, 9/11, But, I don't know. Yeah, I grew up, I was born in 90 and just growing up in the 90s, and you really had no, like, recollection of any sort of anything negative. Inflation wasn't stupid. You didn't spend $12 to leave the house. It's true. Cartoon Network, yeah. Do you know Art Bell, the radio host? Yeah, I love Art Bell. He's awesome. Sometimes if I'm like driving late at night to get a snack, I'll have Coast to Coast AM radio on. And, those are some of the most relaxing conversations. Actually, it's like weird sometimes when you see a channel like mine doing pretty decent on YouTube or whatever, and then you just like, you look for like the Coast to Coast AM radio, channel. You expect it to have like 10 trillion subscribers, and not so much, But I definitely feel like whoever's like running the social media over there or the marketing needs to like figure out a way to implement it into like the modern TikTok zeitgeist. Space Ghost Coast to Coast, that was a good show. Actually, I don't know if I liked Space Ghost Coast to Coast back in the day, because I know that it was just basically they took animations from the show and made a talk show out of it. But there was always like something really strange about watching like late night Adult Swim style shows before Adult Swim was a thing as a kid, because it seemed like every show never really had any structure to it. It was just sort of like fever dream experience, which as like a child was just slightly unsettling. I heard a theory that Adult Swim made those really creepy images to scare kids away from watching the TV shows. It just pulled us in deeper. Midbad. Yeah, Midbad. How's that, man? That's what I'm talking about, bro. Frylock. Frylock. I got something to say. Was fast food better in the 90s? It was better when I was a little kid and you weren't thinking about like how fat you were getting. You were just like, oh, give me the fucking chicken nuggets with the Mewtwo and Pokemon toys. Sugar. Deep fried shit. No one telling me about the repercussions of these choices. No one explaining to me how this is going to hurt my confidence later. My name is Brian. I'm from Ohio, and I've finally gotten around to typing up a story I've been wanting to share with you for quite some time. During late 2021 and early 2022, I started dating the girl who would later become my fiancée. I think a major episode in our dating timeline was around Valentine's Day of 2022. We'd only been talking for around 4 months at that time, so it wasn't a huge occasion for us or anything, but it also constituted a great opportunity to romance her a little. We both had to work on the What's up, C Money? I knew it. As soon as I talk, I had to burp. Excuse me. McDoubles used to be 20 cents on Sundays. Dude, yeah, man. What the fuck? That's what I remember. Like, there was, like, insane deals Sundays and Wednesdays at McDonald's back in the day. Cost of a McDouble at McDonald's. Prices 2024. This is featured in a meal. Wait, sandwiches and meals. Mother fricker. Double bacon. No. Double quarter pound. Wow, double quarter pounder with cheese is $8. $8 for like a single disgusting piece of shit sandwich. $8 for a fucking disgusting quarter pounder with cheese? We should be paid to eat their crap. What the fuck? A double bacon quarter pounder with... They're not even, like, good. I always feel like they're, like, slapped together like slop shit. Double bacon QPC, $8.20. Double cheeseburger, $3.44. I mean, if a double quarter pounder with cheese, a Royale with cheese, I could see it maybe being like $4.99 at the fucking most. Why the fuck are they charging $8? I would rather starve to death and just go buy fentanyl than this shit, man. That's ridiculous. We both had work on Monday, which was the 14th, and that didn't really leave much room for whining and dining. So instead, we made plans to have dinner on the 12th, which was a Saturday night, so we could actually make the most of the occasion. I didn't mention anything about Valentine's Day, although I'm sure the implication was clear, but what I also didn't mention was that Joel for Prez. I mean, I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna make... Well, okay, let's think. How could we make it more affordable? What... Okay, let's ask ChatGPT. We'll figure it out. Okay, ChatGPT. We will use AI to help us solve the country's biggest issues, such as the Royale with cheese. All right. What goes into deciding the price of a quarter pounder with cheese? With some fucking cheese on it. Cost of ingredients, all right. Labor costs, overhead costs, location, the cost of living and rent in the specific location of the restaurant can influence price. Competition, menu positioning. Some items like quarter pounder cheese may be positioned at premium or value menu items affecting the... okay. Marketing and brand. Oh, these are dumb stuff. The marketing and branding, desired profit margin. I mean, I guess that makes sense, but that's consumer demand. Economic conditions, yeah. Seasonal promotions. Well, okay, so there's a lot of these things which could be brought down based on, I guess, like, decisions within the company as far as marketing and branding, desired profit margin, consumer demand. I guess you're always trying to stretch it as far as you can. But like cost of the ingredients. The cost of the ingredient used to make the quarter pounder with cheese, such as the beef patty, cheese bun, condoms, toppings, plays a significant role in determining the price. The quality of sourcing these ingredients can also affect cost. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. How do you make that cheaper? Guys, we have to start making lab meat. Does everyone want to eat a lab-grown quarter pounder with cheese? Labor costs. The labor required to prepare and serve the burger, which includes wages, kitchen staff, service employees, factored in the price overhead. I don't know. I mean, I guess in the position of being a presidente, the only thing I can like pops into my head initially, and you know, this is kind of superficial, dumb, but maybe like increasing the rate at which like oil is drilled. Or like giving out, don't they give out like fucking vouchers essentially for like oil, or like, you know, oh, I'm stupid, I don't know. Basically making it easier so that the cost of like delivering the ingredients goes down if gas is cheaper. Because I always feel like if you see the cost of gas, you can, especially diesel, you can kind of create a correlation between the cost of like how goods are going to go up, because the cost of delivery is going to be correlated with there slightly. As you see like the cost of diesel and typical gas like go up, there's going to be a correlation. I'm trying to figure out how to get that price down, but it seems as if though that price is just going to go up the more they kind of like demonize fossil fuels and that kind of thing. Honestly, I can only imagine shit going the fuck up at this point. Unless there's like some major way to like level out the economy in some way. Which might just come down heavily to like consumer demand. I mean, the cost of things might really heavily come down to you guys like as a consumer deciding to just like find other sources for like your consumer goods. Whether it's like starting your own gardens or some shit, or going to like farmers markets to get your ingredients, which might be cheaper that way. I don't know. Well, right, yeah, that's the unfortunate part about minimum wage, is that like if you were to just arbitrarily increase that price, the cost of the goods are just going to rise as well. So in a lot of ways, it's almost better to like have a competitive market within like, you know, companies as far as determining their wages. I don't know, man. Everything just like slides up proportionately to each other. Sadly. It is strange, this like the strange, like the modern demonization of farmers. Like of all the people to demonize, why fucking farmers? Spent $100 on half a tank of gas in NYC back in 2022. That's crazy, dude. Half a tank? Jesus Christ. You have like a big truck or some shit. But I mean, I could also see, yeah, if it's the amount that they tax that shit, it's probably just expensive as fuck. Just making OnlyFans. Yeah, everyone on Earth just needs to like exchange porn with each other, and we'll all be able to afford everything. Get a Nissan Altima 2007. It cost $100. It cost $100 to fill half your tank. Dude, fuck New York, bro. Fuck New York. Fuck California. Get the fuck out of those states as fast as possible, and stop pretending like the government is gonna solve all your problems, because it's fucking not, dude. That is psychotic. All right. Anyways, I didn't mention anything about Valentine's Day, although I'm sure the implication was clear. But what I also didn't mention was that I was planning on booking a table at an extremely high-end fine dining establishment. I then went out and bought a whole bunch of her favorite snacks, just about anything she'd mentioned enjoying during our text exchange. I figured a bunch of small, fairly low-key gifts like that would demonstrate that I was a good listener, which, as much as that's kind of a dating cliche, is still super important in a relationship. Anyway, I make all the arrangements under the pretense of our destination being a surprise, and come the Saturday in question, she's under the impression that we were headed to this Italian place we'd been to once or twice before. Then, all of a sudden, I hit her with the old switcheroo, then take her to our actual destination, which was my basement, which I would imprison and torture her for the next 2 to 3 years. Sorry. That's not what it said. Sully! With the 10. Joel comes back from Hulk mad. Hulk mad. I mean, I don't know. A lot of my rage is just pointless, impotent rage aimed at fucking nothing. You know, whenever you don't even fully understand the system that you're angry at, a lot of the times the only thing most people arrive to in their sort of monkey brains is, we must destroy it. We must destroy this system to make it better. And it's like, no, that's not it either, dude. I think it's best to, like, educate yourself completely to the system and then figure out the solutions. But believe me, I'm just as lazy as you are as figuring that shit out. Then, all of a sudden, I hit her with the old switcheroo, then take her to our actual destination, which was the fine dining place where I'd booked a tasting menu. Then, all of a sudden, I hit her with the old switcheroo, then take her to our actual destination, which was the fine dining place where I'd booked us a tasting menu. I'd never been to any place like that before, so I was actually super excited to try all the fancy foods. Sorry. Andrew bats with the 10 Reno. Says, okay, Joel. Bye-bye. The night nurse is here with my nighty meds. He says the soreness is normal, and he will even sit by my side until I pass out. He is such a good guy. I wonder why this med is in a baggie. Oh, shit. Oh, I hope you keep the nurses as entertained, my friend. And get some sleep. You're going to need it for tomorrow. Goodbye. Funny thing about OnlyFans, I would never spend my dollars for stuff I can look at for free. I think a lot of people kind of maintain that sort of perspective. It's like, especially, like, most people get their nut and they kind of come to and they're like, oh, fuck, do I still have $20 in my account? Okay, good. I didn't give it to some harlot. You know, but like, I don't know. A lot of people they've jerked off too many times, and their whole dopamine receptors are completely fucking fried, and they have very specific niche tastes, and you know, they're okay spending hundreds of dollars on some internet stranger, which soon is going to be an internet AI stranger. You know, you can just like make up girls now online. That's going to be the thing there's going to be a whole hashtags of it, like, save sex workers, save the sex workers, the AI is taking our dollars. The desperate men are confused. You see, he's confused. He's in love with an AI girl, an e-girl. She said my username and farted in the mic. Best $100 ever. It's just like your ringtone. You save that as your, like, ringtone. Ransom. ransom. Oh, yeah. Farts, dude. Farts are so cool. I'd never been to any place like that before, so I was actually super excited to try all the fancy food that was on the tasting menu. Even arriving at the restaurant and having the European waiting staff take our coats and escort us to our table, I could totally see why people pay for that kind of experience. It's not just all about the food. It's about the atmosphere and the service coming together to create truly special memories. And you can bet your bottom dollar that me and my future fiancé got a special memory of that night. It wasn't the one we expected. Wait, what? Dudes are AIing themselves into girls for money. Good. We need to compete. It's hard to keep up with bubs. Robot strip club, pay $5 and I'll show you on my hard drive. And you can bet your bottom dollar that me and my future fiancé got a special memory of that night. It just wasn't the one we expected to have. So I think we were on our fourth course of 18, having a whale of a time. A whale of a time? You don't say that if you're from Ohio, bro. I don't think a single fucker says. Do you do dark web stories? I do. I have, I think I got like 2 volumes of dark web stories on the channel you could look up. Just dark web, let's read. So I think we're on our fourth course of 18, having a great time when the maitre d' seats another couple at the next table over. They look to be doing the same thing as us, having their early Valentines dinner, only around 10 to 15 minutes after they sit down. The mood at their table became far from romantic, though. It started with a few sort of rude comments, things that made me and my future fiancé look up at each other with this sort of awkward kind of expression. But as the minutes ticked on by, things started to get worse and worse. They kept the volume down at first, but things got pretty vicious real quickly, to the point where one of the waiters came over to try and calm the situation down. It worked for like a minute, then the guy said something under his breath to the girl, and she stormed out of the restaurant. By that point, pretty much everyone in the restaurant was either aware of the tension in the room or was actively watching it unfold from their side eye. I'd seen plenty of public freakouts, just never anything in anywhere so fancy, so as much as I was kind of annoyed that they were ruining our experience, my future fiancée didn't seem all that disappointed. She wasn't strictly enjoying it, she just tried to look on the bright side and made me smile when she whispered, "Dinner and a show. You are treating me this evening." I think that's one of the moments that I knew that she was the one. When she knew how upset that I'd be if I thought some total... Wait, what? See you, Michael Brown. Take care. Sorry. Anyone like to go ghost hunting? No. I think that's one of those moments that I knew that she was the one. When she knew how upset I'd be if I thought some total idiots had ruined our special evening and chose to brush it off like it was nothing. She was just as disappointed as I was. She just knew how much it'd mean to me if she'd failed to show it. Anyway, after the girl stormed out of the restaurant, the guy stayed seated for a minute or two and then followed his girl outside. We figured that was the end of that show. But no. A few minutes later, the couple walked back. Do more urban exploration stories. Yeah, for sure. At some point, definitely send them in if you got them. Have you ever been ghost hunting? No, I don't know. It's scary, you know? Just because I believe that they're there. I just don't want to talk to them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to fucking interact with a ghost. Especially on the off chance that, like, something could create some sort of weird connection with you, and then, you know, every time it's fucking 3 a.m. in your house, you got something knocking at your fucking window or door or wall or crawling on your butt. You know what I mean? Like, and there's just nothing, and then you're the only one there to, like, know it's happening and just have to pretend that it's normal. But it's not normal. You had a ghost agency when you were a kid? What do you mean a ghost agency? Like the ghosts would book trips for you and stuff? Mario. Urban exploring? I mean, I guess kind of. Going into like random shit and just wandering around, but it's not like I was doing like side flips and like parkour around like broken glass or anything. We figured that was the end of the show, but no. A few minutes later, the couple walked back into the dining room by the maitre d' and then... We figured that was the end of the show, but no. A few minutes later, the couple walked back into the dining room by the maitre d' and then reseated. It was actually almost comical, seeing everyone in the dining room trying to contain their disappointment at seeing these weirdos return. But I remember just genuinely hoping they'd smooth over whatever they were fighting about. I was dating seriously for the first time in my life, like actively looking for someone to settle down with, so seeing the marital discord, I was feared. What? You got Ouija board home decor, but I was never had an actual one in my home. Not today, yeah. It's just not worth it, you know, like you might have, like, I mean, at the most you're gonna have a sort of creepy experience, but I mean, like, then you're just, you know, you run the risk of just always having creepy experiences, which, if you get your rocks off that way, sure, but I think the whole point is to, like, you know, you might not even get to see said entity or interact with it or whatever. Like, its existence in your life might just solely be there to, like, make you feel shitty all the time so it can feed off your negative energy and your depression and whatever. Like some sort of strange parasite, you know, outside of space and time. So seeing the marital discord that I feared being played out right there in front of me, it gave me this totally different kind of negative feeling when they started bickering for a second time. I honestly thought that's how the whole evening was going to go. This sort of toxic couple were going to poison the atmosphere completely, not having the good manners to argue elsewhere instead of in front of an entire dining room. But that's not what happened. All of a sudden, the girl gets up again, just like she did when she stormed out just a few minutes before. But then instead of just walking out of the restaurant, she stops, turns around, and takes off one of her high heels. The guy that she's with isn't looking at all. He's doing that thing of refusing to look back as she's walking away. Maybe out of pride, or maybe because he was looking at the menu, I don't know. But either way, he's about the only person in the dining room who doesn't see his girlfriend or wife or whatever pulling off one of her high heels, then taking hold of it like some weapon. By the time we all realized what she was planning, it was too late for anyone to do anything. The girl swung that shoe right at the guy's head, so the heel connected full force with his skull. And the sound that it made was nuts, way more muted and dull than I had expected, not a crack or a crunch at all. And then, instead of collapsing onto the table in front of him or just falling limp out of his chair, the guy just goes rigid. He almost propelled himself out of his chair, sending all kinds of glasses flying off the table in the process. And then when he hit the floor, he just started shaking and convulsing, like he was having some kind of... like he was shitting his pants. They will attach to your bloodline? Oh, God. See, even worse, dude. You're screwing over your future grandson-in-law. George Bush moment. I remember that meme was so funny because somebody very early on turned it into a Pokeball. And then it was a shoe capturing George Bush, or, it was a Pokeball capturing George Bush. That was pretty amazing. It's really weird, though. It's like back then, granted, I guess I would have been a little young and just generally not into politics and stuff, but the whole post 9/11 thing and, sending us down the path of endless Middle Eastern wars and continuing to like 5 additional war theaters under Obama and just sort of going that direction. Like, I just never realized how bad it was, I never realized what kind of like destabilization we were creating in that area for essentially the rest of time. I guess it's always been somewhat that way, but I don't know. Then, when he hit the floor, he started shaking and convulsing like he was having some kind of seizure. People started jumping into action, restraining the girl and rushing over to the guy, who by that point was bleeding all over the floor too, and my future fiancée was one of them. She was a registered nurse, and she knew exactly what to do, or rather, exactly what not to do when it came to the appropriate medical treatment. She told the waiters to drag the table away so nothing else could fall onto the guy, and she took my jacket to cushion his head. After that, she basically just stayed with the guy until he stopped having this seizure and the EMTs arrived to take him to the hospital. I don't know what happened to the girl. I didn't see her getting arrested or anything, and although people intervened to keep her from hitting the guy a second time, I don't think anyone tried to force her to stay. Probably because they were just scared that she'd hit them with the sharp end of that high-heel shoe as well. And since the very horrifying effects were on display for all to see, I sort of understand why no one thought to just tackle her, or whatever. It was scary, legitimately frightening to see both the sudden escalation of violence and the effect that it had on the guy. It really drove the point home to me that real-life violence is much, much different to the kind that we're used to seeing on movies or TV. A young 6th grade Joel did not understand the cascading effects of 9/11. I really didn't, I mean, you're not supposed to. Like, even my one buddy's son, he's in like 8th grade, and I ask him about politics, and I just assume everybody's like wrapped up in the paradigm, the modern paradigm now, and he just doesn't give a shit. He plays Rainbow Six Siege and Fortnite and lives his life. I'm like, hell yeah, dude. That's how it should be, bro. You're like, if you're fucking... I mean, really anybody, I guess, what are you even going to do? You're going to bitch on Twitter and go drink your wine. But, like, especially someone who's, like, 14 years old should just not be obligated to that nonsense, If they're interested, sure, I guess. But it's, the amount of, like, impotent emotion that's attached to it and the realization of sort of helplessness that comes along, I don't know, it just detracts from the overall life experience itself. Do I believe in aliens? I think so, I feel like ghosts and aliens and dinosaur, I don't know, I think they're all fucking possible. I don't think the earth is flat. I definitely don't think that. Well, maybe. I don't know. I know there was one guy, when I told you guys about this before, but I went on like a trip and he was like all about flat earth and shit. And like I was like, what about this and that? He's like, oh, it's just a lie from NASA. And I'm like, sure. I guess, man. And then but then as we were sitting on the beach the one time, I was like, I've never been outside the Earth before. Haven't quite seen it in its like ball shape. Maybe I wouldn't be surprised if I die one day and you get taken out over the great beyond to see everything in the ever-moving streams of time, and you're like, oh fuck, look at that. The Earth is like a bowl. It's like a cool half Pokeball. Your youngest couldn't care less about politics. That's good though, dude. Don't even tell them. Don't even, especially like, I feel bad because like obviously boys usually don't give a shit, but like I feel bad for like the teenage, like the teenage girls who get wrapped up in like worry, they're already like emotional about stupid shit anyways. So like start telling them about like shit that's going on in like Palestine or something, or like some sort of injustice, and all of a sudden it's like they feel some sort of strange connection to it, when in reality they should just be focusing on school and sports or friendships and all that kind of stuff. It's not a good thing to get kids involved in. I mean, yeah, people do it for the clout half the time, and they might not even realize like why they're doing it. And especially if you become like a political YouTuber, then you're like, you make money off of your opinions, and you quite literally become the grifter, which is a Batman villain. But I don't know, dude. Sometimes I wonder if like really the only say that you truly have, I mean, you can vote with your dollar, which seems way more effective than voting with your fucking ballot half the time, and really just making like conscious efforts in your day-to-day life to make the world what you want it to be. But if it feels good to type words online complaining and shit, go ahead. The CIA doesn't give a fuck, All right, story 4. The Earth isn't flat, she's thick. Yeah, that's good. I believe in thick Earth. That would actually be a great like beach t-shirt. I believe in thick Earth, and she's just like sticking on her gat. Yeah. You do tell your teen about it, but it's up to her to make her own decision about things. Yeah, for sure. It's just tough because, like, as a parent, obviously you have your own, like, personal biases towards things. And I feel like trying to remain as indifferent towards a particular thing is probably the best thing you can do. Because otherwise they start to associate their perspectives towards, like, pleasing you. You know what I mean? Like, because that's what it is when you're a kid. Is even as an adult, your parent says something and you're like, you just want to get them to shut the fuck up or be happy with you or whatever. So you say, yeah, I love that thing. Or yeah, of course I support that. Why wouldn't I? And then it ends up becoming like the same sort of psychological presentation of being part of a cult, Except the Buttersock cult. We don't do that here. We don't make you feel bad for not subscribing for $4.99 a month. At the moment I release the president's bathroom break schedule, I get in big trouble. Yeah, Joe Biden spends a lot of time shitting. People don't ever ask about that. Okay, what am I doing? Story 4? Yes. It is funny, like you see like creepypastas and stuff. Like, I mean, Skinwalkers to me was sort of just like, it was like a Native American shaman style character who could shapeshift and shit. And then it turned into like a creepypasta I saw. It was like, there's a skinwalker nest near my house. Like, as if they're all just like fucking in the weeds, you know, this like creature. On Valentine's Day back in 1982, an Arizona state trooper was walking along the side of Interstate Highway 40. He was searching for the remains of a blown-out tire which had been lost during a recent traffic accident that occurred near the Monte Carlo truck stop, around 11 miles away from Williams, Arizona. As the officer continued his search, he found himself approaching a cedar tree, having spotted something half buried in the soil beneath it. But it was not a blown-out tire. Lying face down in the dirt was the lifeless body of an unidentified young woman. She had apparently been dragged around 25 feet from the nearby interstate, and lying next to the corpse was a white sweater with red stripes, a white bra, and a white handkerchief. Larger sections of the girl's face and right ear, as well as her hands and feet, had been eaten away by animals, making fingerprint identification completely impossible. Coroners later determined that the girl had been dead for around 2 weeks before she was discovered, and that the cause of death was most likely suffocation or asphyxiation, as her hyoid bone had not been broken, and there were no other significant indications of physical trauma. Since it was impossible to identify her, and in the light of the date, in light, just not the light, okay. How does one get invited to the Skinwalker orgy? Asking for a friend. One does not simply get invited. Hey, Sarah Chiasson. Good to see you. Hope I'm saying that right. The orgy's definitely not for Canadians. Since it was impossible to identify her, and in light of the date her corpse was discovered, the authorities nicknamed the girl Valentine Sally instead of the usual Jane Doe. In an effort to identify their nameless victim, police officers canvassed the surrounding area in the hopes of garnering clues. One witness claimed to have given Valentine Sally a ride after spotting her hitchhiking around Cordis? Are you guys familiar with this Cordes junction? Anybody from Arizona? In Arizona. Yes, I'm familiar with Cordes Junction. There's a small unincorporated community located in Nevada County. Do you know how they say? Oh, just Cordes. Cordes Junction. Okay. It rhymes with words like lords or chords, pronounced with a short O sound in the first syllable and soft S sound. Chords. 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 Yeah, dude, I realize, like, life is just, it doesn't even fucking matter what your sleep schedule is. As long as you're getting sleep, that's the only thing that matters. You'd just be so much happier. I remember somebody the other day said to me, they're like, maybe you don't have to really do anything that important in life. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, well, you know, Not everybody, there's been so many people, they don't really ever, most people don't really do anything important. And maybe it's totally fine if you don't really do anything important either. It's like, that makes me feel both terrible and good at the same time. Thank you. One witness claimed to have given Valentine Sally a ride after spotting her hitchhiking around Cords Junction, which is around an hour's drive away from Flagstaff, Arizona. The witness claimed that the hitchhiker's journey had started in Phoenix Valley, and that she was employed as a dishwasher at a restaurant there. She also claimed to have a family in the state of New Jersey, and that she intended on traveling there due to trouble in her home life. Her plan was to make it all the way to the Little America truck stop in Flagstaff, where she would hitch a ride further east with any truckers headed in that direction. Days later, a woman named Patty Wilkins contacted law enforcement, claiming that she'd spotted the Valentines Sally on February 4th, when she arrived at her family's truck stop in the company of a much older man. This truck stop, the Monte Carlo, was the same one Valentine Sally's body was found in the vicinity of just 10 days later. Patty claimed to have found the situation deeply suspicious and approached the girl to ask if she needed any assistance. The girl refused and seemed more than happy to remain in the trucker's company, yet complained of a very severe toothache. Patty then applied some crushed-up aspirin to the girl's tooth, a substance which was later found in the tooth cavity of Valentine Sally. Patty Wilkins was then shown pictures of the clothes found at the scene of the crime. All matched those that the mystery hitchhiker had been wearing on the day that she visited the Monte Carlo. 3 years later, Valentine Sally was falsely identified as Melody Eugenia Cutlip, who disappeared from Istachata. What if you just vibe and that's enough? I think that's totally fine, you know? There are certain things that I think make us feel individually satisfied, you know? Good sleep, good eats, socialization, for some reproduction, just in the sense of like purpose. I think artistic creativity, really I'm just going to be listing out like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I think that's, you know, and if that's all you get and you are able to find some sort of higher calling somehow, even though that's pretty rare for most people overall, usually associated with religion in some aspect or fighting for the freedom of others, you know, maybe that's fine. It's totally cool. Ash Caston, thank you. I appreciate that. What am I doing for Valentine's Day? I think I'm just going to be jumping into a big vat of fucking Vaseline, just greasing my ass up, just rolling around town, running around like just a greased up YouTuber. And if the cops try to catch me, good luck, because both their hands and bullets will just slide right off. Okay, Eugenia Cutlip. Melody Eugenia. Is it Eugenia? I don't even know if I feel like I've been calling somebody in chat that forever, but I don't know if I've been saying it right. Eugenia. Oh, Eugenia. Maybe. That's it. Eugenia. Dang. Guess I've been saying it wrong for 16 years. Istachata. Is it Istachata? How you say Istachata? Istachata. Okay, cool. You ain't never gonna catch me. But it was so amazing. Like, they just can't catch me as I'm like running around naked around town, and then for whatever reason they just resort to shooting me. But then even the bullets slip right off. Dylan, what's up, dude? Good to see ya. 3 years later, Valentine Sally was falsely identified as Melody Eugenia Cutlip, who disappeared from Istachata, Florida in 1980. A forensic dentist compared the bite marks between the two women and announced that they'd found a match. The same dentist apparently reconstructed the faces of both Valentine Sally and Melody Cutlip before declaring a significant level of resemblance between the two girls. Melody's mother famously refused to believe the body belonged to her daughter, and although many claim this was the result of untamable grief, she was later vindicated when her daughter returned home during the summer of 1986. Along with their attempts to identify Valentine Sally, authorities worked tirelessly to identify the trucker she'd been spotted with just hours prior to her disappearance and death. Fuck. Hi from Western PA. Hello, hello. Fellow PA-er. Aim for health and fulfillment. Yeah, you know. What else is there to life? Legend walking. Thanks, Dylan. That means a lot. Although their attempts to identify Valentine Sally, authorities worked... Oh, fuck. Sorry. You got family in Quakertown, PA. That sounds familiar. It's so funny, like, being from PA and there's so many towns people mention, and I'm like, I have no fucking clue where that is. Although with their attempts to identify Valentine Sally, authorities worked tirelessly to identify the trucker she'd been spotted with just hours prior to her death. The man was described as being middle-aged, between the ages of 50 and 60 years old, and was thought to be sporting a two-toned leather vest with a checkered pattern, along with a black felt cowboy hat that had a peacock feather tucked into it. Based on a physical description given by Patty Wilkins, the police commissioned a series of composite sketches, many of which seemed to resemble the Royal Russell Long. Oh. Resemble... Royal Russell... Is that his first name, Royal? Or was he actual American royalty? Let's check. Let's dive in. American convicted kidnapper, suspected serial killer, and serial rapist who was given 2 life sentences. See, that's what rap artists should be called. They should be called rapists. Vandergrift, PA. No, I haven't heard that one either. Southampton, PA. Don't know. Yeah, I don't know that one either. That's so funny. I don't know. There's so many fucking Pennsylvania towns. Dylan Marriott with a 1 gifter. 2. Stacy Ragland. Thank you, Dylan. And welcome, Stacy. You now have access to bonus content. It'll be like the episode on Always Sunny. DeVito, full body covered in sanitizer. Yeah. Just busting out of the couch, nude. South of Allentown does sound familiar, actually, but I feel like that's, to me, that sounds like like the heroin capital USA or something. Based on a physical description given by Patty Wilkins, the police commissioned a series of composite sketches, many of which seemed to resemble Royal Russell Long, a convicted kidnapper and suspected serial killer who was given 2 life sentences in 1985 for his involvement in the abduction of 2 teenage girls. Sadly, Long has since passed away in prison, meaning if he was Valentine Sally's killer, he will never face justice for his unforgivable crimes. In 2005, the case of Valentine Sally was handed over to the Coconino County Cold Case Team. He's got a case of the colds. Cold case. Coconino, okay. Allentown is in Dauphin County, right? I don't know. I do remember seeing Dauphin County because there's the capital of Pennsylvania is Harrisburg, and I think that's Dauphin County. I think. I could be wrong, though. You're going to go sober for a month just for me? Thanks, dude. 80 days sober. Nice, Brandy. Sober is Bober. Allentown isn't in Dauphin County? Okay. Yeah, getting sober is just, it's good. It's good. It makes your life better. It makes everyone around you's life better without even realizing it. In 2005, the case of Valentines Sally was handed over to the Coconino County Cold Case team, who vowed to continue the efforts of both identifying her and catching her killer. Then, in 2018, when the Golden State Killer was positively identified due to extensive forensic testing, the Cold Case team saw an opportunity to finally uncover the truth of Valentine Sally's identity. They reached out to Barbara Venter, the genealogist who worked on the Golden State case killer. Fuck. Kika cookie cookie kiki. Does anyone know at what age kids usually chill out? Because, like, my buddy has a 4-year-old, and I love her to death. But, like, anytime we take her anywhere, it's just, like, any opportunity to start, like, crying or getting pissed off or upset. There will be an opportunity found, you know what I mean? And but then her older sister is 6, so I'm wondering if there's like that year, like one more year, she'll just be like kind of more chillax about things, you know. 25, yeah, probably. Your daughter turns 5 on 2/8. It's a roller coaster. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it's just like specific to her personality or, you know, obviously I don't know what they're going through, but it's like every time we go out to eat, you know, you just want to have a nice hangout, maybe conversation, maybe a few giggles. There's like, any possible thing to get upset about is found. Whether it's she has a drink, but she sees your drink and wants yours, so she wants it, and it's hers. She says that. She says, that's mine. I'm like, that's not yours. That is my fucking drink, bro. No, I'm not mean. But it was just like, you know, then you have to set it on the other table to avoid it, and then they start crying, like, holy shit. And then they go over there, and then their drink gets knocked off the table, and they start bawling about that for sick, you know, and then it's like, but I think we always just catch her like later where it's like almost bedtime or some shit. It's just in cranky mode. Doing it for attention. I mean, that's probably it too. It's just a combination of 9,000 things all in one. But I long for the day where we can all just sit at the round table and discuss, you know, the future of the council. You know what I mean? Discuss the ways of the world and how to solve them. Why so cranky? They reached out to Barbara Venter, the genealogist who worked on the Golden State Killer case, to help build a profile based on Valentine Sally's DNA. The team then compared Sally's DNA to that of multiple individuals throughout the area and managed to track down one of her relatives. From there, they followed bloodlines down to one particular family living in Missouri and discovered that one of their number had disappeared around 1979. This girl had a history of running away from home and had charges on her juvenile record that had never been expunged. Finally, on February 22nd of 2021, almost 40 years to the day since Sally's body was discovered, the Coconino Cold Case team held a very important press conference. They announced that after decades of tireless work, Valentines Sally had been officially identified as 17-year-old Carolyn Celeste Easton, a Bellefontaine neighbor's stand-up comedy horror stories would be crazy. I did see that there was like this weird, what's his, Mark Normand? He had like a comedy set or whatever, and then he was escorted off the stage, and then there was like some woman that came on the stage and she's like, not to worry you guys, but you guys just need to leave. Everyone needs to evacuate now. And like, then another person came and took the mic. They're like, everyone just needs to leave, and they didn't say why. And you just see everybody like panicking to like leave and stuff. And then there was like a few days later, it was just found that it was like a viral marketing thing, and it was like your viral marketing thing was like ambiguously making people think that there might be a fucking bomb in the building or some shit. Like it was like that's like the number one way to make your entire audience like never use your product. Obama. Carolyn Celeste Easton of Bellefontaine Neighbors, Missouri. Okay. No kidding. It sounded like a bomb threat or active shooter. Right, yeah. It's like, and they took Normand out of there first, almost as if though they were prioritizing him, like someone was there to kill him or something. And then can you imagine like paying money to go see his show, and then they just like for somebody else paid more money to the show to like do a viral campaign? It just seems so stupid. I do find Mark Normand kind of funny, but like I don't really think he would have taken off, as he's everything he does is gonna like, why does I've never met a human being that he talks like he permanently talks like some sort of comedian from like 1921. Jeez, who would have thought that? Oh man, and how does his voice, like how does his intonation of like speaking like stuck like that all the time? It's like weirds me out kind of. I mean, he's funny. He says some like funny, like off the cuffs, like gotta throw that in there real quick. Whoa, ah. But it's just strange. What if that was my stand-up set? It was just like discussing Mark Normand. You think he puts that on like an accent? I mean, I know that's how he talks, because that's how he kind of talks to people, like outside of the show, like. But I've never met any person with an accent like that, or intonation. Is it intonation? Where he like talks like that, and that pacing. Maybe it's just something he picked up locally, or from his like dad or granddad or something. But it just or from watching fucking so much Rodney Dangerfield, to the point that he just like Rodney Dangerfield joke styles are just like pouring out of his nose. It just seemed, cadence. I don't even know. It's just like so odd. It's, very slapstick. Hate sticks shtick. It's hates shtick. Is that a style? Oh, Jeff Goldblum, yeah. Life finds a way. What's up, Sid, the pink squid? Yeah, no respect. Yeah. They announced that after decades of tireless work, Valentines Sally shite. Mormon horror stories? That would be interesting. The only thing is, I'd be like terrified the Mormon church would like come after me or some shit. You need to take this down. Or like, they have such a crazy legal team, them and fucking Scientology, that they would probably send people to my house. That's probably who was at my house earlier. They announced that, after decades of tireless work, Valentines Sally had been officially identified as 17-year-old Carolyn Celeste Easton of Bellefontaine Neighbors, Missouri. Apparently the last time Carolyn and her family were together was on Christmas Day of 1981, when they discovered her in the company of two strange men. This led to a confrontation between Carolyn and her parents, and she responded by running away from home for the umpteenth time. Her parents assumed that she'd return in the usual time frame, when she either ran out of money or realized her mistake. Little did they know, they'd never see their little girl ever again. In an interview following the long-awaited identification, Patty Wilkins stated that she was haunted by Carolyn's murder and felt like she was her last, best chance of survival. I knew something was off, she told a journalist. I just knew it. Even when she told me she didn't need any help, I could sense something wasn't right. But I didn't do anything. At least, I didn't do enough. And I guess that's a regret that I'll just have to learn to live with. Patty added that Carolyn and the man that she was spotted with appeared to be close, almost as if they'd been friends for a while. She also stated that she wouldn't be surprised if Carolyn's killer was someone her family were well aware of, and supposedly asked the reporter, "If you ever find out who did it, tell me, so I can go stamp on their toes." Carolyn Easton was eventually given a proper burial at Mountain View. What are they gonna do? Take away your coffee? Yeah, they'll take away my balls. Have you seen Orgasmo? Trey Parker makes fun of Mormons. I've seen the South Park Mormon episode. But I haven't seen Orgasmo. I'd rather be Mormon than from Scientology. Those dudes are mad batshit insane. Yeah, I guess, I'm not sure. I mean, I know the Mormons kind of like shun each other a little bit. But I guess it's Scientology. Maybe I'm thinking of Scientology is the one that like comes to your house and threatens you if you leave the compound or some shit. I don't know. Hugo, what's up, dude? Amish. Lovely T, welcome back for a year. Says Joel, will you and Pradeep be my Valentine? Sure. Where's he at? Oh, he's over there. He's over there. He's over there. But thank you for a whole year. Excuse me. What about Pal Money? Pal World? I kind of wish Pal World, like, I know they were saying that they made Pal World with guns because they wanted it to have success in the West, and like games without guns don't do well in the West or whatever. But honestly, I would have much rather like Pal Worlds have been maybe like a survival game, but also having like, I hope they add like some degree of story to it, you know what I mean? Because if it would have actually had a very similar, like, it didn't necessarily have to be turn-based Pokemon experience, but it's maybe more of a real-time combat within sort of an arena Pokemon sort of fighting concept with a story and like different gyms to travel to and that kind of shit. That would have been more my cup of tea. Carolyn Easton was eventually given a proper burial at Mountain View Cemetery just outside of the town of Williams, Arizona. She lies under a very unusual-looking headstone, one that stands in stark contrast with those around it. Instead of a dull gray slab of stone, Carolyn's marker is a large, bright red heart, which depicts the names Valentine Sally, as well as Carolyn Eaton. Easton? Easton. Is it? Oh, fuck. That makes me worried that it wasn't said correct from the beginning. No, dude. How? It was Eaton the whole time, but they kept writing Easton, bro. Why? Wait, how far back, though? That's so annoying. It had it as Easton from the beginning of this page. Yuck, yuck, yuck. And I don't want to, like, say her name wrong the whole fucking time. Yeah, but it was Carolyn Eaton. That's so annoying. Joel doesn't like any new game that isn't Overwatch. I've been playing Enlisted, Sam. I told them earlier, and it was pretty sweet. Even though it's not really new. But I don't know, dude. I'm just not much of a survival game guy. Anyone know what mic I use? Yeah, the one I record into is an H4n Pro, and the one you're hearing me in right now is a TLM... what is it? Neumann TLM 1000 million? I forget. Have I played Hell Let Loose? I haven't. No, someone mentioned that earlier too. And another friend of mine said Hell Let Loose is like a lot more realistic, which I'm curious about, you know. But my friend who has played both says he enjoys Enlisted more because it's just like kind of more mindless and you can just rack up kills and have a good time. You're going insane? How come? They announced that after decades of tireless work, Valentines Sally had been officially identified as 17-year-old Carolyn Celeste Eaton of Bellefontaine Neighbors, Missouri. Apparently, the last time Carolyn and her family were together was on Christmas Day of 1981, when they discovered her in the company of two strange men. This led to a confrontation between Carolyn and her parents, and she responded by running away from home for the This led to a confrontation between Carolyn and her parents, and she responded by running away from home for the umpteenth time. Her parents assumed that she'd return in the usual time frame, when she either ran out of money or realized her mistake. Little did they know, they'd never see their little girl ever again. In an interview Neumann. You need a new mic yourself. Your Blue Yeti's making weird noises. Sid, you should look into the H4n Pro, because you can set it to like both stereo and mono, and like, you know, do the ASMR stuff with it and whatnot. Overwatch Horror Stories. Yeah, that would be the fucking balance team. Or whoever the fuck thought of Mauga. Or whoever the fuck thought of Sojourn. Or whoever the fuck thought of... I was gonna say Kariko, but she's not as bad. I feel like the only good hero they made for that game that's not completely fucked is Junker Queen. I still fucking really not a big fan of Ramatra, even though he does have weaknesses. His ult is just like so fucking blinding. You can't see shit through it. And it's just weird that they, like, it's just, sometimes I'm just like, do they play this game? Do they play the game? Do they play the fucking game? Do they try it? Do they have any? Don't they have frustrations that they would, bring forth to their? Don't they feel really deeply satisfied knowing that they're like, oh, I don't like this part of the game. Let me go to my work where we're in charge of making it better and make it better. I don't know. Maybe they're like severely understaffed and severely like without budget to do really anything. I don't know, man. Just fucking sad. I did see that there was like some leaks on like balancing for season 9, and it was like some crazy mega overhaul for like the team. And I don't know. I guess we won't see it till it's live, but maybe that's what the game needs, is just some like insane changes. All I know is I don't know. It's just weird to me, like when I look at a character like Malga, and you're just like, how do they not realize that like this character is either going to be severely underpowered or severely overpowered? Because it's just like so one-dimensional. Like there's no other like fluctuation to like no skill ceiling, no nothing. And I don't know. Oh yeah, fucking Life Weaver just ruins the entire fucking game. Oh, I got a big, hey guys, I got everyone in my graviton surge, and then he just pulls someone out, or I don't know. Just fucking so over it, dude. So fucking over just like these terrible like hero designs with no nuance, and then the fact that like you put stuff on the battle pass to incentivize, that further incentivizes the poor decisions, because you have to make so many characters have like really low skill ceilings to encourage people to play, because the people investing don't understand the game. I don't know, man. I'm sick of it. I'm fucking sick of it. Kind of backroom stories yet? I don't think so. Push W, please. You could try Destiny. I played a little Destiny. That was also one of those games where I'm so sad that like battle passes have taken off, because I just miss the days of like spending money on a game and then you got most of it. You know what I mean? What's my favorite old school rap song? I think it's a song from Tribe Called Quest. I forget which song it is, but it's a song from them. It's really good. But yeah, I played a little bit Destiny, and there was just this realization that like you couldn't really go any further with whatever the gameplay loop was at that point, unless you bought the DLC or some other stuff. And I just really didn't. You just have this like moral frustration that you have to like stand by to not, hand off your money to this system, because you're afraid that it's just going to constantly incentivize said process over and over again, but then you realize like you not spending money on it isn't gonna fucking like make it go away. So then you're just like, all games suck. Destiny ended up costing me like $120. Yeah, and I mean that's the whole point. But like same with Overwatch. Like I would, for as much time as I spend playing that dog shit bullshit game, I would spend money in the battle pass to buy their dumbass skins and all this kind of stuff if I had like any respect for the team's balancing options or like their character design or any of that kind of shit. But I realize now that the only reason I play it is just because it's like, it's an addiction. It's a dopamine cycling addiction where I can't tell if I'm like addicted to winning or addicted to anger, And maybe I am addicted to anger. Maybe that's why I play it, because it like makes me feel any sort of emotion in my life. I don't fucking know. I would love to. I had to record that single video like 10 times because I kept messing up my words. Oh, dang. I wonder if there's a way you can just like go back a sentence and edit it together or whatever. I dropped my channel for almost 8 months because I moved and had virtually no quiet time. I just now in the past few months picking back up, but it's never too late. No, definitely, yeah, keep, you might, even if you have to reimagine and start a new channel, it's sometimes that's like for the better if you kind of have like a plan. Yeah, games are now like grind for 40 hours or give me $20. It really is, like, and that's how I feel with Enlisted. Like, you're going in and all of a sudden here's an incoming fucking bombing run, and it's like, oh, pay $20 so you can like unlock the fucking anti-aircraft gun early or something, or pay $20 so you can, you can have a helmet or some shit. It's just, your videos calm my anxiety. Thank you for all you do. You're welcome, Cheyenne. Good to see you. I'm on a big shroom bar. What's up, y'all? What's up, dude? A big shroom bar? What's a shroom bar? A shroom bar? What is that? Oh, I think it's called Electric Feet. No, not Electric Feel. Let's see if I can find it. That old school rap song. We can listen to it together and get copyright stricken. Tribe Called Quest. Best songs. Oh, yeah, it's this one. I think it's this one. It's called Electric Relaxation. What are my feelings on PM Dawn? What's that? Period mood swing dawn. The way you describe the game sounds a bit like what Rocksteady is doing. I could be wrong. Oh yeah, which game from Rocksteady? Pioneers of East hip hop. I do wish like that positive 90s, jazz hip hop was back. Like, the mumble rap shit's not bad. I love a lot of like rap, but like a lot of it's just so, and I guess it depends song to song, You just sometimes wish that rap didn't, have such a negative connotation to it all the time, Rocksteady, where's Bebop? Do you like Freddie Dredd? I don't think I've heard of them or him. Fred Durst, yeah. Oh, the Suicide Squad from Rocksteady. Yeah, dude. I remember seeing that advertised when it first, and it looked like so much fun. Like the mobility. Like I love games that just, those open world Spider-Man bullshits, the Batman one, that kind of thing. Just like cool ways to get around, sort of implementing like physics. I don't know. It just seems like a lot of fun. But then I heard that they had like the most egregious, detrimental form of like microtransaction, suck all the fucking your resources for the week out of you kind of thing. And it's offensive. You know, it's like if all the things in my life I find offensive, it's like an inferior product. Whenever you know that you could just give the player something baseline for $60, $70 or whatever, but instead you gotta fucking milk them. You gotta get deep within and get their man milk. Just stupid. It's a fucking waste of time. Oh, the laugh, yeah. Or it's like a spray bottle. I love that shit. In an interview following the long-awaited identification, Patty Wilkins stated that she was haunted by Carolyn's murder and felt like she was her last, best chance of salvation. I knew something was off, she told a journalist. I just knew it. Even when she told me she didn't need any help, I could sense something wasn't right. But I didn't do anything. At least, I didn't do enough. And I guess that's a regret that I'll just have to learn to live with. Patty added that Carolyn and the man she was spotted with appeared to be close, almost as if though they'd been friends for a while. Sorry, I do add that as if though. Patty added that Carolyn and the man she was spotted with appeared to be close, almost as if they'd been friends for a while. She also stated that she wouldn't be surprised if Carolyn's killer was someone her family were aware of, and supposedly asked the reporter, "If you ever find out who did it, tell me, so I can go stamp on their toes." Carolyn Eaton was eventually given a proper burial at Mountain View. Man, for some reason this confuses me. When does a biscuit become limp? When does the water become hot dog flavored? And where does one find a chocolate starfish? Carolyn Eaton was eventually given a proper burial at Mountain View Cemetery just outside the town of Williams, Arizona. She lies under a very unusual-looking headstone, one that stands in stark contrast with those around it. Instead of a dull gray slab of stone, Carolyn's marker is a large, bright red heart, which depicts the names Valentine Sally, as well as Carolyn Eaton. This is to signify that no matter how long a person is missing for, no matter how long they're referred to by Jane Doe or any other morbid nickname, they will not stay that way forever. Was that only story 4? Fucking hell, mate. Did it for the nookie. Come on, the nookie. Come on. So you can take that cookie. Stick it up your yeah. Stick it up the yeah. Okay. Yeah. What? Rolling. I remember that Rollin' song was in, remember NFL Blitz, the video game? Well, they made a hockey one called NHL Hits. And it just had it was, an arcadey hockey game where they had really heavy hits. A lot of them were putting people through glass and stuff. It was so much fun, man. I wasted so much fucking time in games like those. So I can sit next to Carson Daly and Fred Durst and hear them arguing over who she gave head to first. Dude, see, I miss Slim Shady, dude. I'm not an Eminem fan. I'm a Slim Shady fan. You paint your nails, yes? No, I don't. I'm not emo enough. A few years ago, I met this guy on Tinder that I really liked, and we eventually went on a few dates together. We were talking for weeks, and our first date was nice, but then our second date fell almost exactly on Valentine's Day, and if I'm being honest, I was pretty excited about it. I just had no idea how things were about to take a pretty drastic turn. During the time we were talking, there were a lot of little red flags. He would tell me he drank too much, but I was a lot younger and naive back then and tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. We were in our early 20s, so I figured rolling. Ah! You paint your nails so they match the drapes. Excuse me. God damn. I just throw up everywhere. Oh man. Petition for the return of Let's Read ASMR. I've thought about it. I actually thought about whenever I went to 2 videos, I was like, what if I made ASMR videos again? And I don't know. I don't even know what I would do for ASMR. Just sit there and record me shitting. What's my new live schedule? Sundays and Wednesdays, the nights before uploads. When's my birthday? June 4th. You still listen to them? Nice. That's good. I'm glad you still get use out of them. Is there any particular one that you like the most? Tulsa, Oklahoma City 918, bro. What up? We were in our early 20s, so I figured he just liked to party and it wasn't a problem. But what he didn't mention was the very specific effect that alcohol had on him. So on the night of our date, we were in a bar getting drinks and stuff, and he pulls out his phone very rudely, I might say, in the middle of a conversation. I asked him what was so important, and he tells me something like, "I'm trying to find us a way out of here." As you can imagine, I respond by saying, "You're doing what?" Thinking that it might have been a joke or something. But no. He was deadly serious and started telling me how the security guards for the bar were, and I'm using his words here, after him. So I'm like, okay, let's go back to my car so maybe we can just go somewhere else, naively believing that he genuinely had beef with 1 or 2 of them. My car was parked pretty far away. I was staying pretty sober at that point because we had gone to multiple locations that night, so it took us a few minutes to walk there, but in that time, my date gets it into his head that multiple people are after him. I'm talking random people on the street. Then once we're in a part of downtown that wasn't so busy, he started to think that I was out to get him too. I was trying to call his friend, who was nearby, to come get him, but he took my phone away from me because he thought I was calling the cops. Then, when I demanded that he return it, he started physically threatening me. I got so scared because I thought, if he hurts me here and leaves me here, nobody's gonna find me until morning, and it was really cold out. His friend eventually came and got him, and I left. Once I was safe, I was jittery all night from the anxiety, having been in rocky relationships in the past. I told him about it the next morning, and he didn't remember any of it, so I broke things off shortly after because I just did not have the time or energy to be dealing with anything like that. I feel like if I'd have carried on dating him, it'd only be a matter of time before he turned on me. Physically, I mean, and then it wouldn't be so easy to just walk away. Not that I wouldn't be able to. He just struck me as the kind of guy who wouldn't let me leave. And I have far too much self-respect to get stuck in a situation like that. Rolling, 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 what? That's what his friend, the guy's playing with his friend in the car. He's like, yo, bro, put on Limp Bizkit. Rolling, 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 yeah, yeah. Now you know we loving this shit right here. So I don't care, we don't care. 1, 2, 3 on the Limp Bizkit shit. Hippie to this shit, and I'm taking this shit. Now back the freak up and suck my freaking butt. It's me, Limp Bizkit Fred Durst, in the big truck. Rolling, 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 ah. Rolling, 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 yeah. Favorite vintage classic car? Maybe like the Batmobile from like 1969. Driven by Adam West. Sorry for the self-promote. No, you're good. I feel like your name kind of self-promotes, you know. Sid the Squid ASMR. I don't mind. You think of The Last of Us? Nice. Kind of want to listen to Limp Bizkit. Dude, I don't blame you. Limp Bizkit is... I mean, there's a lot of stuff from back then where it sort of was cringe for a while, but then it... like... then you kind of pretend to listen to it ironically, but then you also kind of listen to it because you like it. Kind of like Creed and shit, you know? Or I think I saw like a funny clip of Shane Gillis, the stand-up comedian, like was at a bar and he was doing karaoke to like... Dracula, burn through the witches and burn through the slitches and burn through the back of Dracula's house, or whatever it is. And I don't know, it's just so fucking funny sometimes to just like know those lyrics from when you were younger and just scream them, you know. Dracula, do it, baby, do it, baby. It's so fucking stupid, dude. Dracula, do it, baby. Oh, yeah. Evil dead girl. Like, what a lyric. What a lyric, Rob Zombie. You're gonna get all the fucking alternative girl pussy, bro. It's all yours, man. Evil dead girl. Every dead body in the fucking cemetery that you reanimate, it's all yours, homie. Back when I was in my late teens and still painfully naive, I accepted an invitation to go on a Valentines cinema date with a guy that I met on Tinder. He seemed really nice at first, but when we got to said cinema and the lights went down, he started trying to shove his hand right up my skirt. For almost the whole film he kept trying it on, and I kept having to tell him no over and over again. He wasn't forceful at all, but he just kept doing it like a bloody child or something. After every no, he'd just wait a few minutes and then try it again, like all I needed was a few minutes and I'd be all good on then and let him do it. It gave me the ick really badly, so when he drove me home, I was in no mood to see him again. I lived in Halls at the time, and he asked if he was okay to use the toilet before driving home. Then, for some reason, instead of just telling him no and to duck into a bush somewhere, I very stupidly said, sure, why not, and let him in to use my toilet. But then, once it came to getting him to leave, he wouldn't. I lied to him and said, look, I had a really nice time, but you have to go because I got uni in the morning. I didn't think anyone in their right mind would refuse to pick up on that kind of social clue. But then, turns out this guy barely had a brain at all, let alone a good one. He just kept smiling and shaking his head, saying, no, I want to stay for a bit. I'll leave before we go to bed. Then when I told him I want to go to bed now, he started making all these terrible comments like, well, why can't I join you? At this point, my heart was pounding in my chest and I didn't know what to do. He said he had a really nice time and basically pushed me onto my bed and started kissing me. I pushed him away as nicely as possible and started calling out for help. That really, really shocked him. He must have thought that I didn't have it in me to make a scene like that, and you could see how embarrassed he was. Thankfully, that meant that he just walked out of the room and then the building, as he didn't want to get caught after trying to force himself on me. He then left and I locked the door behind him. I didn't sleep that night and was terrified that he'd break in or something. Thankfully he didn't, and the only time I ever heard from him again was the last text that he sent me, calling me a prude B-word who led him on for a free trip to the cinema. None of that really bothered me. I knew my intentions had been pure and that it was him that had tried to turn out dirt. Fucking shite. Do it, baby. Do it, baby. I feel like I remember when, like, Living Dead Girl... Wasn't there, like, another one? I feel like I remember when, like, Living Dead Girl came out on the radio. Like, an officially, like, a new Rob Zombie song. Living Dead Girl. And it was, even as a kid, I was like, that's a little on the nose, don't you think? Dracula. I knew my intentions had been pure and that it was him that had tried to turn our date into a freaking fondle fest. What bothered me was that I had to live and study in a place where this guy lived. I didn't properly relax until I moved out of halls and into a student house for second year, and for months, that psycho had known where I slept. So to finally live in the comfort of knowing that he had no idea where I was, that was a relief. Sounded like Steve-O. Steve-O, dude. Fuck. Fuck, dude. I'm not jumping off that, dude. It's fucking scary, dude. Alright, I'll do it. I'll do it. Just as long as Johnny Knoxville gives me a pat on the head. Do 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 do. Is there anything newer than hell? There is not. I mean, there's music from the, like, a hour-long ambient music thing for the holidays, but I do hope this weekend to finally get the Western. There's a Western story that I have from Sam Riding, who has been helping with the bonus content writing. It's going to be a part 1 of 2 that should be pretty cool. What's up, Galactic Biatch? Rob Zombie. What other songs? Oh, man. It's just so stupid, dude. Oh, man. I love it, though. That's what culture needs to be. We need more Rob Zombie. Of course, didn't he make, like, a Munsters thing that was complete dog shit? Like, how the fuck do you just get, like, worse at being a director? I mean, maybe it's the budget, but it just seemed like complete shizite. Rob Zombie Super Beast. Which one's that? Wait. Okay, I only see Dragula and Living Dead Girl. Best songs. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. That song's actually pretty good. It has like a Deftones vibe to it. Rob Zombie does kind of rock though. All right. Anyways, Caitlin Rakes, welcome to the Buttersock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. Thank you, Caitlin. More human than a human, human than a human. Okay. So, from the ages of 18 to 36, I was in a committed relationship. But then, long story short, we ended up getting divorced, and I was thrust into the very unpleasant world of online dating. I tried a little OkCupid at one point and ended up meeting a really cute guy who was totally my type. He had lots of tattoos, he worked out, and he was at least a foot taller than me. But he also loved John Carpenter films and a bunch of horror movies too, which is a huge, huge passion of mine. And we chatted on and off for a month or so, but we lived an hour apart, so we waited until we were super sure that we wanted to hook up, and then made arrangements for the most romantic day of the year, Valentine's Day. It wasn't anything too fancy, we just went to a bar to shoot some pool, but then the drunker he got, the more this totally different side of him started to emerge, and it was one that I didn't enjoy at all. At one point he starts pulling my hair. I'm guessing in a way that he thought was sexy and that I'd enjoy. Well, needless to say, it wasn't sexy, and I didn't enjoy it. And then 2 hours and 2 drinks in, and I was ready to just get the hell out of there. Then, when I asked him to give me a ride home, he tried to get me to do something that I really did not want to do. And I fought my way out of it, basically threatening to scream bloody murder and scramble to my car and drive home. I knew I was lucky that he let me go, and I had no intention of ever seeing this weirdo again. But then the next day, I'm getting my stuff ready for work and realized that I'd lost my ID somewhere. I searched my apartment, nothing. I called the bar, nothing. Then it slowly dawns on me that the creep I was with the night before was the one that had my ID. Either when it had accidentally fallen out of my purse during that struggle, or when he'd deliberately taken it for whatever godforsaken reason. But then, when I call him, he claims that he doesn't have it either. But he does have a lecture for me about how I'm a tease and that's why I'm single, because I just lead guys on. I just want my ID, but he denies that he has it, so screw it. I guess I'll just get another one. My lost ID shows up in my mailbox about a week later in a plain envelope that I had not been mailed. The idea was he was out... Wait, what? Oh, that had not been mailed. Yeah, damn. My lost ID shows up in my mailbox a week later in a plain envelope that had not been mailed. The idea that he was outside my house without my knowledge really creeped me out. It took me a good while to realize what had actually happened, to be honest. I went home and didn't tell anybody until a few days later. And then my friend was like, "Wait, so he tried to do what to you?" And I was like, I started twerking. Damn. Ree with a 30. Thank you. Says, I didn't know you changed your schedule. It's been a while since I listened. Shortly before Xmas, my hubs was diagnosed with colon cancer, peritoneal carcinomatosis. Carcinomatosis. Ugh, life happens. Thanks for the laughs tonight, Joel. You're welcome, Ree. I'm very sorry to hear that. That's really tough. Peritoneal, though. If it's peritoneal, I'm trying to think, because I guess that's within... That's definitely outside of just the colon. That's tough. Damn. Fuck. Oh, fuck. I don't know why. I mean, like, the first thought that comes to my head, and I mean, it's none of my business, and obviously a medical professional can make the appropriate calls and stuff, but I think about, like, fasting. That was, like, the first thing that pops into my head. But obviously, I don't want to. It's none of my business, I suppose. And it's not to say that that's going to be, like, the fix-all type thing, but. It's terminal. Okay, fuck. Yeah. Shit. And then my friend was like, wait, so he tried to do what to you? I was like, yeah, I guess I dodged a cannonball as opposed to a bullet. And then the day after the date, I had to contact him about the ID. And then the day after the date, I had to contact him about the ID. It was a time when the $35 of replacement. And then the day after the date that I had to contact him about the ID, it was a time when the $35 to replace it was actually a lot of money to me. So I called him, and he was so absolutely in his opinion that I had wronged him somehow by not hooking up with him in a crappy dive bar parking lot, and he said that I could have at least put out. I didn't do anything about it, I just never contacted him again. It's not like it hasn't happened before, just in more subtle versions. I never had anybody just try it. It was usually the kissing that turns into pressure to do something more. I never had anybody forcibly try to make me do stuff with them or try to test my... I've never had anyone forcibly try to make me do stuff with them or try to take my clothing off, just verbal and mental pressure. But anyway, I freely admit that I have terrible taste in men, and that's why I'm currently celibate. I can't trust myself, and it took way too long to accept that, but I'm working on myself. Okay. I think that was story numero 70. Chicken or meat? Planning my baby's first B-day. Chicken or meat? Like any kind of meat? Or does chicken count as meat? How many stories reading tonight? That was the 7th one, so we are donezo. I just gotta read this outro now. If you guys want to think of something funny for me to say at the end. Hey friends, thanks for listening. Click that notification bell to be alerted of all future narrations. I release new videos every Monday and Thursday at 7 p.m. EST, and super fun live streams every Sunday and Wednesday nights. If you got a story, be sure to submit them to my subreddit r/Let'sReadOfficial or over email, and you might even hear your story featured on the next video. And if you want to support me even more, grab early access to all future narrations and bonus content over on Patreon, or click that big join button to hear about the extra perks offered for the channel. And check out the Let's Read podcast, where you can hear all of these stories in big compilations located anywhere you listen to podcasts. All links in the description below. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, Dracula! Blast through the back of Dracula's house. Dig through the ditches and burn through the witches. Like, what? Like as if though there's just like a stack of witches you gotta get. He's like, I can't be bothered right now. I can't be distracted. I have to dig through all these ditches and burn through all these witches by the end of the song. God. Dracula. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Love you. Appreciate you. Another awesome one in the books. If I do go live, another point this week, I'll be sure to let you know over on Twitter at Let's Read. So be sure to hit that notification bell or follow me on there to be notified when I go live. I do want to record that bonus content though, good old Western coming up. But otherwise, I'll have this Valentine stories up on Patreon first thing. It's only $1 a month over there for early access to all bonus content. And then I will get it up on YouTube. Same time, same place. 7 p.m. EST for your Thursday viewing pleasure. And yeah, otherwise, yeah. Instagram at letsread.official. Twitter at letsread. I don't think I have really anything else, but hope you guys have an amazing night or day wherever you are on Earth. Enjoy every moment you get. And treat each other well. And if someone wants you to go to war, just say, no, war is stupid. All right. Goodbye.